No, you can keep talking.
Oh yeah. I'm loving this. I'm loving this official weigh-in music. Sorry guys, we're just shooting off a tweet here, letting people know we are live now with the UFC 272 MMA fighting official weigh-in stream. You can hear probably hear a little bit of Jose Youngs there. Jose Youngs is on site, has been all week in Las Vegas. This is the voice of Alexander Kaylee, and now my face as well. And joining me, of course, along with Jose, is the wonderful, wrong direction, Mike Heck, and the equally wonderful producer extraordinaire, EKC Live. So thank you, everyone who's tuning in now. We are about 10 minutes away from the weigh-in starting. You can begin your speculation now, guys, as to who will weigh in first. I'll throw it out there. It's going to be either Covington or Masvidal. I'm thinking Covington. This is without the Jose Young scoop, by the way. Mike, what do you think?
It's Colby.
Casey?
Jamie Mullarkey.
Oh, just shocked.
Mullarkey. I just like saying
Colby.
his name. Anytime I get the chance to say his name, Jamie Mullarkey.
Mullarkey. And Jose and Covington and Masvidal are there. And Mullarkey's like, pardon me, guys. I'm going. Mullarkey waits for no man. That'd be great. But I do have a feeling we will be getting either one of our headliners first. Jose Youngs, how's the air down there?
It's hot. Physically there. There's a ton of media. There's a crazy amount of media here. There's actually a lot of media from the UK. So it's my man Desanga right here. You guys can't see him, but I'm sure you'll hear him as we chit chat. There's actually a lot of UK and international media here. So this, oddly enough, has a big fight feel all fight week. That's as you can hear Oscar too. There's more media here than I would say there's more media here than the Volkan Oscar Ortega pay-per-view for sure. Maybe even more than the Poirier Oliveira card too. So definitely a big fight feel, regardless how people feel about the main event.
Yeah, people don't want to see the best fighters. People just want to see people who don't like other people punch each other. Being the best fighters are a bonus, but hey, just two roommates who don't like each other, yeah. That's where our money goes.
We just had that. I think we just had that story come out that Masvidal is supposedly, according to him and his team, I guess, one of the three most highest paid fighters in the UFC. And I've seen a lot of reactions saying good for him, great. But if a non-champion is one of the highest paid fighters in the UFC, this feels like an issue. This feels like a discussion point that we should have. We're well aware of it. Yeah.
He is a champion. He has a belt.
Oh my God! Go ahead. Please correct me, sir.
I did correct you. Now move on.
What is the title he has?
Baddest motherfucker in the world.
Yes, I would like to believe.
In the game, baddest motherfucker in the game or the world?
I think in the world.
In the world, okay, yeah.
I would like to think it's unofficially on the line. I can't believe that's not that really hasn't been part of the promotion, right? I don't know if I missed them talking about it. Mike, they haven't brought up the BMF title too much, right? If at all.
They really haven't. They talked about it briefly at the press conference. I know Dana's brought it up, saying that maybe he'll do it, but I could care less whether it's up or not.
Yeah, it's an unofficial title. It's weird. Does it need Dana's permission? It's not a real title.
Yeah. If you have to ask your boss, you're not the baddest motherfucker. If you go, hey, excuse me, Mr. White, can we fight for the BMF?
Sir, is it okay if we put the BMF? If I tweet about the BMF title,
sir?
You're right. We know his value, but again, Adesanya also said last month, I'm now one of the highest paid guys in the UFC. So a lot of guys are coming on saying
no numbers though. No
numbers though. So not great, I feel like, for fighters as a whole. And I would of course tell everyone, as much as these reports are out there and believable, take the top 3, top 5, top 10, whatever these guys are saying, with a grain of salt. So we all believe Covington will come out first. We're all thinking Covington and Masvidal. Or do you think Masvidal? Do you guys think top 2? They'll both come out?
I think Masvidal will take a little more time. I'm going Covington RDA. I think that's the first 2.
RDA? What?
Doesn't have to cut till 55.
Yep.
160.
Okay.
So
okay.
It's still a cut, but he's prepared to cut to 55. He's probably midway cut as all this news was coming out. So I'll put him at second. We'll see.
Oh, imagine if Moicano just doesn't make weight and can't fight for some reason after all this. Let's cross fingers. It's still cutting to 160. It's former 45er, but you never know though when you have those big weight cuts at 45, it kind of screws up your your metabolism. So hopefully, I'm crossing fingers because I'm excited. I'm a big Moicano fan. I think he's super underrated. I don't like to fight under this circumstance, but yeah, here we are.
I think Kevin Holland's going to be one of the early guys too. A statement, of course, being his UFC debut at 170. He's fought at 170 a long time ago, pre-UFC, and has been teasing and was teasing a move to 170 for the longest time, but just kept winning at middleweight. So there was really no reason to drop down. But now in a bit of a slump and dropping down to a more.
Will Greg Hardy make weight? Is Greg Hardy going to be the last person to weigh in? Let's go. Who's going to be the last person to weigh in? I'm going Hardy.
We saw reports earlier this week that Greg Hardy was walking around 290. I believe they said at the beginning of fight week, around 290. That's a lot. I mean, look, you're a heavyweight. You've got a lot more water weight, but he's had issues before. He was almost the first UFC heavyweight ever to miss weight, but he was given another hour, what have you, to cut and came in, I believe, at 265 or 266. Excuse me. So yeah, he's certainly one to watch, and that's a good pick for who might show up last.
Wait. Before we go on, Jose, are you there?
Mm-hmm.
Let's get Jose's, because we didn't get his reaction from the press conference yesterday.
Oh, please.
So, Jose.
You guys did a reaction with a bunch of people not there. Bam. Yeah, it was great. I loved everything about it.
What a weird
raucous
shot. Can you summarize a bit as well for people like me who didn't even watch it?
It was raucous in there. Colby Covington had an entire section of fans devoted just to him. So as much as he wasn't making any sense with anything he said, they ate it up. And then literally on the other side of the venue, because it was in the Ka Theater, which is an absolutely miserable place to shoot a press conference if you're like a camera person. That's where the UFC 200 pre-frame one was. So it's like super narrow. It's where Cirque du Soleil is. So it's not great. And there's no internet. But pretty much like the sides are split in half with Colby and Jorge's side. So they were basically just yelling at each other at the beginning of the press conference. And then during it, they were like, both individuals were like hyping up each side or like yelling at the other side sort of, or making faces at the other side. So in terms of, it was like, remember when all you guys hated the UFC 263 press conference, the Phoenix one, with like Izzy and Nate and Moreno and Figueiredo, like everyone was like, oh, that was a joke of a press conference, this and that. That was an awesome press conference because it was so loud in there. Same thing. Probably didn't, because you can't hear it through the TV, but it was great live.
That's an issue actually of UFC production, that they're not miking you're not getting the ambient sound of the arena or the theater with the press conference. And that you know what, if at home, if we could have heard that, the kind of the boos and cheers from the crowd, maybe it would have changed our impression of it. But yeah, but from the YouTube stream that I saw for UFC, I could barely hear any of the crowd. Could you guys?
I didn't hear him at all. Like the only time I noticed the crowd at all is like there was this weird moment, probably like towards the end of it, where they panned to the crowd and it looked like there was somebody off camera that was like cheering them on, being like, "Yay, clap!" Like that's what it looked like. I don't think that's what actually happened, but that's what it looked like. That was the only time I noticed the crowd at all.
Yeah, because you're seeing like just a little small view. Yeah.
Also, there's the answer to your question you guys were asking.
Oh,
right on my
Holland, number one.
Look at you, AK.
Yeah, well, I was pretty vague. I said somewhere early he's going to try and make a statement. Why not?
Take credit for it.
I wasn't.
I will.
I wasn't paying attention, by the way, because John Anik is just crushing life with his vintage Celtics jacket on.
Is that a starter jacket? It's definitely a starter jacket.
It's amazing.
Oh, I regret eating before seeing that now.
Casey, you're a producer. Can you Photoshop Colby Covington's jacket onto that because it's green? Just use it as a green screen.
Yeah.
Like King of Miami one that Colby Covington always wears.
Who's behind? Is Agapova
that
behind?
Looks like, is that Agapova? Looks like her.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
It is.
Okay, so,
it is.
All right. Jose makes a good point though. It's just such a different experience, obviously being there live, and then to us watching and the fans watching. So I did throw up a poll, guys, of asking what did people think? What did people think of the press conference? So vote in that, guys, when you as you watch. Here we go.
Yeah. I mean,
wow. 170 championship weight at welterweight for Kevin Hall.
Wow. That's interesting. Yeah, even take the extra pound. Nice.
Mariya Agapova, the one half of the other grudge match on this card.
And I feel this is way more authentic.
Official weight 126 for Mariya Agapova.
That's 126 for Mariya Agapova.
I'm excited by the fight. Is she from Kazakhstan?
All right, next fighter to the scale competing in the UFC's featherweight division. 10th ranked, Edson Jr. Barboza.
Edson Barboza up next. John Anik is incorrect. He is 13th ranked in the MMA Fighting Global rankings, the only rankings that matter.
145 and a half. 145 and a half, the official weight for the legend Edson Barboza.
145.5 for Edson Barboza.
Isn't it amazing how guys like Edson make featherweight so easily? Seemingly so easy now.
All right, next fighter to the scale in the UFC's flyweight division, Marina Moroz.
Yeah, him and Aldo, right? I mean,
yeah. Rocking the Ukraine colors. Good for her.
Of course, of course.
125 and a half. 125 and a half, the official weight for Marina Moroz.
125.5 Marina Moroz. That fight is now official. Take that. Where were you on that one, Anik? Sucker.
This is a true bitter rivals fight because like they showed up on time, on weight. They're ready to rehydrate and be like the freshest possible for the fight night, man. This is the real bad blood fight.
D-Rock in the comments asking what's this beef with Moroz. We will get to that.
The co-main event to be contested at a catch weight of 160 pounds, Renato Moicano.
Here comes Renato Moicano.
Renato Anjos.
We will revisit the Agapova Moroz beef much later in the show. Trust me.
160. 160, the official weight for Renato Moicano.
160 for Renato Moicano. This is a catchweight bout. He's taking the fight on less than a week's notice.
Way less than a week. Considering the flight and everything, it's like
4 days. 4 days. I think 4 days.
To the scale, you know this man well, the 13th ranked flyweight in the world, Tim Elliott.
Tim Elliott coming up.
Do we have him ranked? Is he in the top? Is he in the top 15?
He is 15th. Hanging on to that 15th spot.
126, the official weight for Tim Elliott.
126 for Tim Elliott. Very tough opponent, Tagir Ulanbekov. So that's why I say hanging on to that 15th spot because there's so many good flyweights coming up.
Next athlete to the scale competing live on pay-per-view tomorrow night in the UFC's welterweight division. He is Alex Cowboy Oliveira.
Kevin Holland's opponent, welcoming him to 170 in the UFC.
$170, the official weight for Alex Oliveira.
Cowboy Oliveira 170. That means his fight with Kevin Holland is official.
All right, next fighter to the scale competing in a prelim in the UFC's light heavyweight division, Michal Oleksiejczuk.
Michal Oleksiejczuk opening up the early prelims, I guess, against Dustin Jacoby. Sneaky fight of the night contender here.
This is a nice curtain jerker.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a great fight. I love this one.
206, the official weight for Michal Oleksiejczuk.
206 for Michal Oleksiejczuk. Anik on point with the pronunciation. Man, really.
All right, that brings us to one half of the featured prelim live on ESPN in the UFC's lightweight division, Jamie Mullarkey.
Mullarkey. Featured prelim, big spot for him and Jalen Turner, two very good young fighters.
155 and a half. 155 and a half, the official weight for Jamie Mullarkey.
155.5 for Jamie Mullarkey.
All right, we will stay in the lightweight division as we welcome our next athlete, King Cage, Devontae Smith.
Devontae Smith facing a short notice opponent, Ludovit Klein.
Wait, what was his nickname?
King Cage.
King Cage.
156. 156 pounds, the official weight for Devontae Smith.
156 for Devontae Smith. King Cage, Casey. King Cage. Cage with a K, obviously.
Yeah, duh.
King. Why did I even explain it?
I got you.
All right, next fighter to the scale, competing live on pay-per-view in the UFC's featherweight division, a man many fans have come to see out of the great state of Arkansas, 11th ranked Thug Nasty, Bryce Mitchell. $145 and a half, the official weight for Bryce Mitchell.
145.5 for Bryce Mitchell. His fight with Edson Barboza. It's now official.
All right, next we get to what is a huge fight in the UFC strawweight division. You can see it live on ESPN. First to the scale, third ranked Marina Rodriguez.
Marina Rodriguez, the one many see as the #1 contender already at 115 pounds.
When was the last time a third-ranked fighter was this far down on a card? Off multiple wins.
It's probably
116 pounds, the official weight for Marina Rodriguez.
116 for Marina Rodriguez. Probably the last time, Casey, it was probably a strawweight or a women's flyweight again, if we're being honest. Or a men's flyweight. It could have been a men's flyweight, actually.
Yeah.
Something about these lightweight classes that they just do not in a hurry to put on.
All right, next fighter to the scale, fourth ranked in the strawweight division, Rodriguez's opponent, Xionan.
Xionan, kind of forgotten in the division after that drubbing she got from Carla Esparza. That was her first loss in the UFC. And it was very one-sided and revealing, I think. But man, she's six, like she was twice in the UFC. It's a very dangerous fight for Rodriguez.
116. Official weight 116 pounds for Xionan.
116 also for Xionan, and that fight is official.
All right, next fighter to the scale, competing in the UFC's featherweight division this time around, he is Brian Boom Kelleher.
Brian Kelleher, one of the smartest men in the UFC, who just keeps taking fights at 145 against other bantamweights, just avoiding that nasty weight cut, gets paid the same.
Official weight 145 for Brian Kelleher.
145 for Brian Kelleher. He's facing a blue chipper, Umar Nurmagomedov. And if he beats him, let's tell you, no one's going to care whether it happened at 145 or 135. You know, like it doesn't matter.
All right, next fighter to the scale, competing in the UFC's flyweight division, 15th ranked Tagir Ulanbekov.
Tagir Ulanbekov, 15th ranked in the UFC, also receiving votes in the MMA Fighting Global rankings, and really poised to just fly up. If he beats Tim Elliott, boy, this man can go a long way in the division.
125 and a half. 125 and a half for Tagir Ulanbekov.
125.5 for Tagir Ulanbekov. His fight with Elliott is official. I should say Tim Elliott.
All right, next fighter to the scale, set to compete in the UFC's featherweight division, Umar Nurmagomedov.
There we go. Here is Umar, one of the most hyped prospects at 135. Again, competing at featherweight with Brian Kelleher on Saturday.
He's normally at 35, correct?
Yes.
146. 146, the official weight for Umar Nurmagomedov.
146 for Umar Nurmagomedov. His featherweight bout with Brian Kelleher is official. Jackson Bass saying Kelleher is one of the COVID-era UFC MVPs. He really is. And again, he really figured out.
Fighter to the scale, competing in the UFC's light heavyweight division, Kennedy Nzechukwu.
Here comes Kennedy and Nzechukwu. He really figured out during the COVID era, if it's going to be hard to cut weight and do things normally, just take fights up a weight class. That's why.
206. Official weight 206 for Kennedy and Nzechukwu.
Kennedy and Nzechukwu weighing in successfully, 206 pounds. Waiting for his opponent, Negumereanu. We are cruising here, guys. Only about 6-7
next
fighters
to the scale, a man who needs no introduction, the former UFC lightweight champion of the world, competing in the co-main event at a catch weight of 160 pounds, Rafael dos Anjos.
Here comes Rafael dos Anjos. Again, this will be 160 to accommodate Moicano coming in on short notice.
160! 160 pounds, the official weight for the former champ, Rafael dos Anjos.
And there you go. No issue making 160. And the co-main event is, as John Anik just said, is now official.
All right, looks like we get a bit of a break now.
Okay, great. Thanks, Jose. Well, guys, we said Covington and Masvidal would probably be somewhere in the first cluster. We were incorrect.
Nah.
You guys, Jose, do you think there's a bit of gamesmanship going on now that neither guy wants to be the first to come out? What's the deal?
No, I think it's because all of the fighters. I think it's a lot simpler than that. All of these fighters are staying at the fighter hotel, and Colby and Jorge are way off the strip in houses. So they're literally just traveling here. I think you guys looked way too much into it.
That's our job. Jose, I know you're a legitimate reporter on site. I'm a member of the clickbait media. All right, I'm just trying to create narratives out of the air. I'm just making. I saw a tweet from someone. I'm just taking that and just turning that into an actual story. You know, that's how I do it. I mean, I'm sorry. We're just coming at this from different angles.
I'm disappointed it wasn't Mullarkey, the first person. So I wasn't expecting Colby.
He was pretty early.
Yeah, I was close.
Pretty early. He's part of the.
I mean, heck, when RDA, man, he was way off. Come on, man.
Well, Mike, do you want to give us a quick rundown here? Let people know we had a lot of. We only have a few left.
We do. Just
Waiting
waiting for the tunage. Let's do it.
Let's do the rundown. Here we go.
All right, here's what we got so far. We're still waiting on both main eventers, Colby Covington and Jorge Masvidal. The co-main event is official. Rafael dos Anjos, Renato Moicano, both weighed in at 160 pounds. Edson Barboza versus Bryce Mitchell, that is official, both weighing in at 145.5. Kevin Holland, Alex Oliveira, that is official, both fighters weighing in at 170. Sergey Spivak, Greg Hardy have not arrived just yet. Still awaiting Jalen Turner. He will face Jamie Mullarkey, weighted at 115.5. Marina Rodriguez, Xionan, that is a go, 116 apiece. Negumereanu, there we go. I'll figure that one out. Kennedy and Nzechukwu weighed in at 206. Nick has not weighed in yet. Marina Moroz, 125.5, takes on her bitter rival Mariya. Agapova, 126. Umar Nurmagomedov, 146, faces Brian Kelleher, 145 in the Kelleher division. Tim Elliott, 126, taking on Tagir Ulanbekov, weighted at 125.5. Devontae Smith, weighted at 156, still awaiting his opponent, Ludovit Klein. And Michal Oleksiejczak, weighted at 206, still awaiting the arrival of the scratch golfer, Dustin Jacoby. Back to you, AK.
Thank you, Mike. What a beautiful read. Dustin Jacoby quietly putting together this wonderful run in his second stint with the UFC, 4-0-1. And hat tip here to, by the way, Mike Bond and Michael Carroll, who always keeping great stats. He's tied for the third longest UFC light heavyweight unbeaten streak behind Glover Teixeira and Magomed Ankalaev. So 5 straight unbeaten. Dustin Jacoby, who would have thought a year ago that he'd be in this position? I think he's favored, I would assume, against Michael Oleksiejczak. So
minus 200.
He's a pretty heavy favorite. Okay, wow. So yeah, things go. He could be tied with the light heavyweight champion for the and MMA Fighting's number 1 ranked light heavyweight with a win. So there we go. All right, guys. We got a lot of angles to cover here. Let me just take a look at our poll here. What did you think of the UFC 272 press conference? I only gave 2 options. I apologize for the limited options here, guys. One was loved it. The other was meh. And
that was it. Loved it or meh. That's it.
Loved it or meh. I should have put an in between, just like indifferent. But sometimes
or loved it or really loved it or
really satisfied, very satisfied, neutral. Meh. well ahead, 58%. So people didn't love it, but I should have put I should have asked. Did it make you want to order the pay-per-view more?
Yeah, I guess that's the point of it. It's like, are you more hyped or less hyped after the press conference? I guess that's the only purpose of those, from the UFC's perspective.
Yeah. For us, we're hoping to get some good sound bites and things like that. But I'm told, as I have been told many times, there was almost no usable audio from the press conference.
Wait, AK, quick question. You're from Canada, but I got to ask you.
Yes, this is true. I admit it.
How does what was the question? I can't even.
How does the bill become a law?
How does the bill become a law?
Oh God. We have a 3-tiered government up here, and it's just got to go through all those systems, and there we go.
Because no one knows. Anyone in the comments can reply, because nobody knows how a bill becomes a law.
I'm sure people know. It's just hard to explain. Like, we all have.
Haven't you guys ever? Right? Have you guys not seen Schoolhouse Rock? There's literally a whole episode on how that happens.
That came out like in the 80s. Like half the fighters weren't even born then.
How did this? Again, I did not watch the press conference. I'm sorry. How did this come up to Colby Covington?
Because
that was the most asked question of the press conference.
Because Colby Covington, who MMA Fighting's panel decided won the press conference, kept screaming at Jorge Masvidal for no reason.
How does the bill become a law? Tell me.
Most absolutely silly.
So, Jose, you did not agree that Mr. Covington won the press conference?
No.
Okay. What did Masvidal win, or is it just that neither? Or you're going with the kind of neither guy won?
No, two children yelled at each other in a sandbox. No one won.
Aliens versus Predator. No matter who wins, we lose, right? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
that's a good reference.
Someone wants me to sing the Bill song. I think I know what song they're talking about. Oh God, I wish I knew.
Oh, wait. We have Jed Meshew.
Oh, here comes. Thank you, Jed Meshew Esquire, coming in to save us. I will read these along as they come along. Thank you, Jed. Mike, while that's coming in, now is as good a time as ever. You've covered the story pretty closely. This kind of broke. Did it break last year? The Agapova sort of Moroz. I can't remember who went. It was Moroz who went public first, right? With kind of why
it was July.
Like missing fights and sort of, erratic behavior supposedly. So that kind of broke last July, and there's been more said since. Mike, how can you best kind of sum up why this Moroz Agapova fight is arguably more genuinely heated than the main event?
I mean, I don't know, man. It's crazy. A bunch of accusations.
Mike, don't get a suit. Don't get a suit, please.
Listen, there's a bunch of allegations. You can go on MMAfighting.com and read them for yourselves. Things that Marina Moroz had said in an interview alleging Mariya Agapova of being a druggie, getting kicked out, being dangerous in the gym, threatening to slice up fighters at ATT, especially men. These are things that she had already said, so I'm not just reaching here. Obviously, we reached out to Mariya Agapova's manager, Alex Davis, who denied all of that. And then I did a 35-minute interview with Marina Moroz, and we didn't air it. Let's just say that. A lot came from that. I transcribed a whole bunch of that, and we only got one story out of it. So there were more accusations, and it just got a little crazy. So, yeah, there's a whole bunch going on here. There's, yes, exactly. That was another thing that Mariya had said, didn't pay the trainer, didn't pay the gym. Marina, when I talked to her, she kind of clarified that whole thing. She said she did. And that's it. I mean, it's just accusations here, accusations here. It's kind of like Covington Masvidal in a way where only 2 or 3 people actually know the entire story, but these two don't like each other. Moroz clearly doesn't like Mariya Agapova. She was very excited for this fight. And Marina Moroz actually feels like when Agapova called her out, that the reason she called her out is because Moroz, who had to miss almost 2 years of action, was because of COVID and getting documentation to come back to the United States. And she felt like Agapova knew that. And that's the reason that she called Moroz out, that the fight probably wouldn't be possible because Moroz wouldn't be able to get back in the country. And apparently, as soon as that call had happened, Moroz got on the phone, got her manager involved, and said, UFC, help me get the documentation. I want this fight. Let's make it happen. And here we are. So we'll see we'll see how it goes. Let me see what the betting odds have this one at. Mariya Agapova -170 favorite, +150 on Marina Moroz. Moroz looked pretty darn good in her last fight. She was landing a lot of shots.
Yeah.
So
it's just a long time ago, right? As just a long time ago, right? I think people have kind of forgotten how good Marina Moroz is. Yeah.
That was the first pandemic card, the Brazil card, when Kevin Lee and Oliveira were the main event. That was the last time Moroz fought.
We're like, I think it's like 700 plus days or something, right? Like well over. We're around, not quite 2 years, but just under 2 years.
A month. It's like next week would be 2 years, I think. So very, very close.
I think it's pretty easy to say. Oh, go ahead, Jose.
I think and I've been saying this for a long time, especially when like the crossover boxing matches have happened, like who's the best boxer in the UFC, no one puts Maryna on there. And because like if you think about it, she is the coach of the Ukrainian Olympic boxing team. She's very, very talented boxer.
Mm-hmm.
We just haven't seen enough of her in MMA for reasons outside of her control. And I think she's I thought like when because she beat Sabina, I thought at the time Sabina was like this prospect on the rise that people thought was going to be like a force in this division. Like, I don't think she's going to beat Maryna. Marina's like she tapped Joanne Calderwood in her first fight off her back in like a minute. Yeah. And then that kind of and then she kind of got thrown to the wolves, I think, a little bit because she was only 4-0 at that point. Like she had her biggest win too quickly, but now I think she's great. I think she's very. Who else she lost to? Like Carla, Angela.
She's lost to
one more
tough fighters. She lost to
real tough fighters.
Valerie Turno.
Yeah,
but that's been a while. That's
former champion.
Years.
Yeah, former champion Angela, who's like can beat a lot of people, including people on the site, think that like half of her previous, like even more than half of her previous losses should be wins, like especially her last few. And then Valerie Letourneau, who was a former title challenger, so she's only losing to the elite of the division.
And I think the Mayra Bueno Silva win, she landed 139 significant strikes over those 3 rounds. I think that's a divisional record for a 3-round fight. So I think she has that record all to herself.
Yeah.
For most significant strikes in a 3-round fight.
Do you remember the Moroz Daniel Taylor fight though?
Not only do I remember it, I was there.
That was one. I mean, Moroz is a very talented fighter. She really is, and I actually am very excited for this fight. But man, that was one of the worst fights as a spectator to watch. One of the worst female fights.
It's in that coveted first fight on the main card you all talk about.
Oh, it was on a pay-per-view.
Really?
Oh
no, it was if it was an FS1 card in Salt Lake City.
Oh.
And they had the unfortunate position of that fight was like the opener of the main card, but like the prelims were also on FS1, so nothing really changed. And the fight before it, I remember, was the Court McGee fight, and Court McGee was the only Utah-based fighter on the card, so the crowd was absolutely hyped for that fight. And then everyone left, and then Maryna basically fought Daniel Taylor in a half of empty arena. It's kind of disappointing.
Well, it's like a regional card, like where everyone kind of leaves, or like the hometown guy, or
and it's like disappointing because like I remember Santiago Ponzinibbio fought, Talis Leites fought, like Dennis Bermuda, and then like Yair and like Alex Ceres was the main event. Like that fight card was really good, and Cub Swanson was like the first fight of the night.
You know, that's something that Bellator actually does. Like they'll put like kind of the regional level guys in the post limbs because of that situation. Because people, they'll buy tickets to see their friends or someone they know, and then they'll leave, even though you might have Yair Rodriguez on the card. They're not Yair Rodriguez fans. They're that guy's fans.
Movement.
Yeah. Oh,
movement.
Who we guessing?
Colby.
Nope.
Jalin. Oh, Ludovic Klein. Bamboozled.
How did Anna say his name?
Ludovic Klein.
Ludovic.
156 pounds, the official weight for Ludovic Klein.
156 for Ludovic Klein. His fight with Devontae Smith is now official. Good to see Klein make it. He has one bad miss in his past in the UFC at featherweight, and it was for a short notice fight. This is also a short notice, but obviously a weight class up, so a little bit easier for Klein. Very talented fighter, exciting finisher. So we'll see if he can put something together against another exciting finisher in Devontae Smith.
I was at his Contender Series fight. It's one of the few Contender Series fights I've been at.
Devontae?
Lodvik. Didn't Klein? He was a Contender Series guy.
He was?
I think.
Oh, wait, he didn't need to be.
I honestly don't know. Yeah.
He was because he was training in Alaska because he couldn't like get back and forth, and he was like got really intricate. He's one of those guys where I asked him 2 questions, and the scrum was like 25 minutes.
That's good. I like.
I think.
Mike,
are you talking about Uros Medic?
I don't remember. Could be.
Yeah,
oh yeah, you're right.
Klein,
right.
Yeah, I think Klein came.
Klein,
Klein
was on Fight. Klein was Fight Island. Klein was Fight
yeah,
Island.
Okay.
That's where.
Yeah, he was coming off
fought,
like 2 crazy ass head kicks.
Yeah, he fought Shane Young because
he's the one that and Izzy got super mad and Izzy got super mad about it. Izzy was like 90% behind this guy, 90%. But yeah, Ludovic Klein, very talented. Yeah, some really great head kick knockouts before the UFC. Casey, did Jed finish his how to pass a bill?
Yeah. Wait,
I was trying to follow. First, a bill is drafted and sponsored. All right, I'm just gonna try and pick this up narrative here. Second, once a bill has been sponsored, it goes to a committee. Oh, you got it. Okay, nice. Well,
but,
did he stop there? Or?
Yeah,
no, that was before. That was him telling me that was before. Yeah, he was.
He quit. Yeah.
Here's what happens. Here's what happens. Hey, here's what happens. The House and the Senate approve a bill. The bill is sent to the president. The president approves it. It's then signed and becomes law. Bam. That's literally it.
So easy.
Now, if the president vetoes the bill, though, it goes back to the Senate, right?
Mm-hmm. If the president, I think it's like 10 days in Congress. It's not the Senate. I think it's Congress.
Congress.
God, that's so weird. Our viewership numbers just started plummeting.
Boom,
that's weird.
Boom. Then you have to get 2/3. If the president vetoes, you have to get 2/3, right? Not just a majority. Is that correct?
Something like that. And if
I can hear people clicking off.
And I know the president doesn't even have to approve it. The president doesn't even have to prove it. If he just ignores it for 10 days, it just automatically becomes a law. Like if he's just like, I forgot. Well, it's like, well, sorry, you slept past the alarm.
One last thing on the Moroz Agapova thing. I think they're way less likely to hug after than the main event. I think we will see I don't know, at least a friendly dapping after the Masvidal Covington fight. If it goes to a decision or something. Oh, I think we will. People said the same thing about Covington and Usman. I had the same people telling me the shit about Covington and Usman.
I didn't think.
Did you just curse?
I didn't think that.
I did.
You just curse.
I did. Wow. I had people telling me the same shit about Covington and Usman, Casey. And let me tell you something. I think I have been saying for a while, I think these two just worked themselves into a shoot. I think they worked themselves too. I think it is genuine that they don't like each other, but I think there was a point where they're like, hey, this just makes good business for us to like to have this feud. And I think it started a while ago. I remember I messaged, I can't remember Errol, and he was like, no, this is very real. And I'm like, you're a mark. I was like, Errol, you're a mark. That's not how the conversation really went. I was probably just like, oh, okay. But in my heart, I wanted to call Ariel a mark. So, next time. I think
counterpoint, AK counterpoint.
Yeah.
If it is a decision, even if what you're saying is true, that they've worked themselves into a shoot, if they go out and have a 25-minute battle and Covington like wins round 5 and wins the fight, you think there's going to be a dap, or they're just going to walk away from each other, maybe have some words to set up what will probably be a rematch? Because if this is a close fight, the UFC is absolutely going back to this well. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, that might be good to keep the heat alive. You're right. If it does go to a decision with the knowledge that they're almost definitely going to fight again, maybe don't do the post-fight hug, because that would probably, or whatever, post-fight, or the words of respect, like, yeah, it's all business. Yeah, maybe don't do that. But I still think that there's a much bigger chance that that ends cordially than Agapova and Moroz. Agapova and Moroz, I'm genuinely scared of what will happen after the fight is over. Like, the real fight might begin after the fight. I'm scared.
See, and that's real beef. Yeah, they're going to fight in the locker room. They're going to fight in walking out. They're going to fight, like,
dude, I'm scared.
In the craft service room backstage. Like,
these guys.
I like that.
Keep it together.
I don't think that's going to happen either. I'm pretty sure Marina has much more important things to think about.
This is
Marina
true.
Moroz.
This is true.
I don't think there's going to be any sort of like nonsense after. I think she's going to be like, if Marina Moroz wins, she's going to talk on the mic about something much bigger than a silly beef in MMA. So none of what you're saying is going to happen either.
Of course. I mean, obviously, I think she said her parents are actually in the Ukraine right now, fighting. Yeah. I think actually like guns up and everything ready to go. So obviously when this fight was originally signed for, this wasn't the plan. You know, they didn't know. Rose wasn't expecting this. So so they kind of.
I think AK. In fact, I'm gonna say I think you worked yourself into a shoot with that one. Wow. I think this main event.
I worked myself into a shoot.
Yeah, I think this main event is legit, and the Marina Agapova, the Moroz Agapova one is just gonna end in a someone won. Let's talk about important.
Classic.
There's gonna be no skullduggery after. Yeah,
classic.
You're probably the one that's like. I bet you were like, oh, Dean Ambrose is gonna go back to WWE. Like, no, like work yourself into a shoot. It doesn't happen.
Oh yeah, because that's those are my takes. Because those are my takes on pro wrestling. You lapsed fan. Like you even watch anymore. Back up, buddy. Like you even watch anymore. Relax. Like you don't watch anymore.
I can't watch anymore. I'm a little busy on the road.
Good for you.
I think when the main event ends, the winner is gonna talk about more important things like how Bill becomes a law. You know, it's just that'd be great. It's first thing Masvidal says on the mic. First, it passes the House of Representatives.
If one of them ends their fight with just that would be like one of the top 5 greatest promos of all time. I fully support that. We don't have enough edutainment in the UFC. That's what I always tell people. Well, it looks like we've got a bit of a wait. I'm a little surprised that we've had to wait so long, but may as well, guys. Let's start.
We thought the main event guys would be early, or like no.
Well, Jose explained it. It's a matter of geography. They are not at the Fighter Hotel. They have their own. They are away on their own.
Actually, I think Colby's here. He just hasn't weighed in yet because he was like shooting. Because like if you look at it, I think it was his Instagram. He like posted one of his like promos, like plugging a betting site or whatever, and he looked fairly sucked out. So either that was last night or now. I don't know the time frame, but he was at least sitting in front of the octagon in the Apex.
And again, why would he be in a hurry? He's never had issues making 170, so yeah, I could see him just, I guess, maxing and chillaxing. I guess in no rush. Kobe's he's all good.
Do we have any polls on the chat right now? Are there any polls?
I can make a new poll. Would you want a new poll? Meh has clearly won the press conference vote. So yeah, 56% meh.
Can we ask who do you think won the press conference? I'm actually kind of curious about that.
Who won the press conference? Okay. All right, I'll throw another. All right, I'll throw that up there. Some people probably just joining in late too, so they didn't see the first poll. So
I will say, because I didn't actually answer that question, I asked it, and one of the things that I asked was like, is there actually a winner here? So I was surprised that Jed and Steven both had an actual answer to that question.
That might have been last night though.
But then it turned into like a whole different conversation about what Masvidal could have done. Like I love Jed's idea that if every time Masvidal is asked a question, he just tried to sell his NFT to the highest bidder and just turn it into like an auction thing. Like that would have been amazing. He would have clearly won the press coverage. Just ignored Colby.
Just ignored him. Yeah.
Just grab the mic. Be like 3,000. Do I hear 3,500? Do I hear 4,000? Like that would have been tremendous stuff. Amazing, and he would have clearly won the press conference.
I did not watch at all. Was it just Dana White, Colby, and
four police officers with guns?
Ooh. There you go. Movement.
UFC interim welterweight champion and the #1 contender,
Colby
Chaos Covington.
As Jose told us, he was there. He is in the building. So there we go. Here comes the scale.
170.5. 170.5, the official weight for Colby Covington.
170.5 for Colby Covington.
Not championship weight. Not making a statement.
Champion weight. Doesn't need to be. Again, this is
the BMF title's not on the line, so
that's right. Yeah. This is a very rare non-title headliner. Really, we've only seen it with like McGregor and Cerrone and McGregor and Poirier. Recently, I mean. So I don't know if this speaks a lot. And we should add, this was not intended, of course, to be the main event. We had Volkanovski and Petr Yan were originally going to defend, or say Aljamain Sterling, I'd say maybe, were to defend their undisputed titles. But unfortunately, those fights have been pushed back. So we are left with this non-title affair. Again, one which I think I am a fan of putting fights like this in the headlining position.
Scale, competing in the UFC's heavyweight division live on pay-per-view, Sergey Spivak.
Sergey Spivak coming up.
$243.5, the official weight for Sergey Spivak.
243.5 for Sergey Spivak. Likely will be giving up around, or at least on the scale, 20 pounds to Greg Hardy. We don't know on fight night. Probably still giving up quite a bit of poundage. Greg Hardy, a very, very large heavyweight. Sergey Spivak, just kind of mid-range. So we are only waiting Masvidal, Greg Hardy, Jalen Turner, Negumereanu, Dustin Jacoby. But did we have any other fights become official? Did I miss it? Casey, did I miss it?
No.
Okay. So we were talking about the main event, Covington Masvidal. Right. And I wanted to ask you guys, Mike, I think you're with me on this. I could be wrong. How do you feel about this as a main event? Even if, even given that it is, it kind of just got bumped up out of necessity. How do you view it though, as them selling this as a $75 USD pay-per-view headline?
Next fighter to the scale, competing in the UFC's
we'll get to that.
heavyweight division, the Hanyak, Dustin Jacoby.
Dustin Jacoby coming up.
$205.5 for Dustin Jacoby.
205.5 for Dustin Jacoby. His fight with Mikhail Oleksiejczuk is now official. Mike, thoughts on the main event as far as sellability goes, or worthiness? I don't know how you want to measure it.
I have no problem with it being a main event. I'm in on the fight. It's something that needed to happen, and the longer it took to make it, the worse, I think. Like, this would have been a much cooler fight to see a year ago or 18 months ago, but I think the storyline has been built. Like I said, the promo that the UFC put together for it that we saw on last week's UFC card was fantastic. It was really well done. I think there's a lot of intrigue here. This heated and I got to say, this all worked out. This worked out great because we get this fight. It's going to get some buzz, no doubt about it. I don't know how great it's going to do on pay-per-view, but then in a month, UFC 273 is ridiculous. That card is absolutely insane. So I think this worked out pretty well, all things considered. We get this main event with some heat on it. We can push the crap out of it, try to promote it in all these different ways to try to bring in all these different audiences. And then for the pure, fight fan, not that I think Covington Masvidal is not like a pure fight fan kind of fight, because it's very intriguing and there's a lot of storylines attached to it. But talk about championship fights and fights with incredible stakes. 273 has that in spades. So I think everybody wins there. I think it works out perfectly.
Casey,
we got movement.
Okay, we got movement. Casey, I'm going to get your Casey, I'll get your take in a second. So you see some scale adjustment.
It's not Jorge. So
okay. So far, 64% saying Colby Covington. 64% won the UFC 272 press conference. And we've got quite a bit of responses so far. So that is a substantial, that's a substantial return.
Negumereanu would be my guess.
To the scale, competing in the UFC's light heavyweight division out of Romania, Nicolae Negumereanu.
Nicolae Negumereanu.
It's gonna be a fun fight.
205.5, the official weight for Negumereanu Nicolae.
205 for Nick Negumereanu. His fight with Kennedy Nzechukwu is now official. Just 3 fighters left. Casey, let's give people your take on this being sold as a main event, a pay-per-view main event.
From the as far as the UFC doing their job as promoters, I think they've done a fantastic job of selling this main event. Me as a fight fan, I'm interested solely because they're 2 top welterweights, so that's always cool. But as far as me paying $75 for this fight alone, I'm not into it. Just not. I think the beef is it's exaggerated. They like, yeah, they don't like each other, whatever. But they're also like, hey, we can make a lot of money, So good for them. Good for them. But that's about it. But I do think the UFC has done a very good job actually of promoting this main event. Not the card itself, but promoting the main event, which is all you really need as far as like making the big bucks. Now, if we're going to talk about other fights on the card that deserve promotion, that's another story. But main event wise, aces. Yeah, good job.
Look, I like it from the aspect of just it's two guys that either genuinely don't like each other or at least have done a great job of selling they don't like each other. And that's
the
cool.
UFC actually has always done a really good job of selling rivals, beef. They do a really good job of that. What they are not good at is actually selling the best versus the best, fighting at their kind of when they should be fighting. That's just kind of like what do we do? They're not talking trash. No, throw a bunch of oohs and ahs sound effects from Rogan, But as far as like just trash talk, yeah, UFC's got that down. They know how to sell that.
Yeah, it's like can we get a cover weird slow motion cover of some 70s metal song or something and throw that on there, so and then run that ad 600 times. That's pretty much all they know how to do. But you're right, and I think Mike, you said they've done a much better job promoting this card, especially compared to Adesanya at Whitaker 2, obviously Ngannou and Gane. We talked a lot about there might have been reasons why they weren't promoting that card as much as they should have. So I mean, Mike, I think again, like I said, you've explained pretty well. So now let's talk about the co-main. Mike, how do you feel about what we ended up with, given some of the options that might have been thrown out there after Rafael Fiziev was unfortunately forced to withdraw due to COVID?
I really wanted the Fiziev fight, and maybe we'll see that down the road. Makhachev, yeah, that the idea got floated out, but I've said this many times already. By the time the second round of tweets came out from both of them, I was like, this fight's definitely not happening, so I forgot about it already. Renato Moicano, as a fight fan and as a guy who likes stylistic matchups, I love this fight. I think it's really interesting. I wish we were getting Moicano on a full training camp.
Yeah.
We're not getting him on a full training camp, but you saw him on the scale. It's not like this dude put a beating on Alexander Hernandez, went home and just ate a bunch of potato chips for a couple weeks. No, the guy was back in the gym not long after that. Go to his Instagram. Dude's in there training like the Monday after he finishes Alexander Hernandez. So then he goes to Brazil and, maybe he took a couple days off, but you saw him on the scale. He wasn't like flabby, looked in pretty good shape. And for a guy to come in on Tuesday night, Wednesday morning and make weight, I think he was 195 or 180. He was up there in the 190s. Didn't look completely destroyed up there. I think this is a really good fight. And I think Moicano has a very good chance to win this fight. I really like the matchup. It's super intriguing. And I think it's minus 180 for Rafael dos Anjos. This one could be lined a little bit closer, in my opinion. I think it's going to be a really good fight. I like it as a fight fan. Does it have the sizzle to get a couple, 50,000 extra pay-per-view guys? Probably not, but it's a really good fight. It's a really good matchup, and I'm excited for it. Give me all 25 minutes of it. I'm very fascinated.
Yeah, it's a really high reward fight, I feel like, for Moicano. He was a top 10. He looked like a top 10 talent at featherweight. Lightweight is just so deep. You need to jump on these opportunities, because I don't know what he was going to get for his next fight. I don't know if he was going to get a top 10 guy. RDA is legit top 10 guy, former champion. So feels pretty. Yeah, it feels pretty high risk, low reward. Casey, your thoughts? Low risk, high reward. Casey, your thoughts on?
That's for Dos Anjos. It's a high risk, low reward for Dos Anjos. So you're right. I love. Actually, I'm a big fan of Moicano. I was confident that he was going to beat Mr. Hernandez in his last fight. I think Moicano he's that type of fighter that he wins big and loses big. So I think people are kind of just. I think they put a little too much focus on his losses rather than the kind of competitiveness of the fight till he lost. So that's why I kind of saw in him, and I think he is better as a 55er. But I agree with Mike. I wish this was full camp Moicano. Actually, do you think you saw other people kind of throw their names in there? Obviously, we won the Makhachev fight, but I just don't think that was realistic. Makhachev is a A+ level fighter, and much like guys like John Jones. They don't come in on a week's notice. Or GSP though. They come prepared. Because they're like professional prize fighters. And I don't know why Islam. I mean, I know Ariel's been kind of like, oh, Islam dropped the bag, doing all that stuff. I think I kind of agree. It was kind of stupid to even kind of throw the idea, get it in people's heads that he may fight. So I think that was kind of a bad move by Islam or whoever runs Islam's Twitter. But but there were other names. Like actually, I thought that Terrence McKinney was a better fight, just because I like the idea of just a bit of an unknown. And Terrence McKinney was just on Ariel's MMA Hour, and he was saying, I'll fight for the title right now. I'm ready. I'm that good. And that was the perfect sound clip that the UFC could have had. Like, all right, you said it. You want it. Boom. And he called the fight out. He immediately was all over social media wanting to fight. I thought that was a better option than Moicano. You got flying from Brazil. You have a lot of, there's a lot of just logistics, that you have to work through getting Moicano to America to get the fight ready. But I thought Terrence McKinney was the person to go with. And it kind of sucks because he had Dos Anjos and Moicano, and like there was just no media from them all week, so we didn't really get to even hear about anything. It was just kind of like we heard about it Monday, then we kind of got forgotten about. Then like, oh yeah, they weighed in. So I don't know. That's kind of my 2 cents on it.
Jose, what you again? You're on site. You've got a good feel for it. What was kind of the buzz during the week about who could potentially step in and fight RDA?
I mean, I think I got here, and I think Moicano was announced while I was driving here, so
okay.
I have no idea. So like the second I got into Vegas, I think Moicano was. I think our site had confirmed that was the fight like within minutes of me arriving. So that fight was already booked by the time Media Day started, which is why they weren't at Media Day, because they were both traveling in. Like Moicano landed Wednesday afternoon after Media Day was over, which is why we didn't get to speak to him. And then same as RDA.
Wait, why was that RDA at Media Day? What? But there was no
because
reason
he was driving in.
So he was just late?
He got this fight Tuesday and he was driving in Wednesday or something like that. So he just literally wasn't available to us. He wasn't in the building. He wasn't in Las Vegas.
Yeah, because RDA should have been there. There was no reason for RDA
not
to be there. Yeah, that was kind of weird.
But yeah, he literally just wasn't there. Like Moicano landed and went straight to the Apex to do his photo shoots. That was the first thing he did in Las Vegas, same as RDA. So they just literally weren't available because they weren't even in the city yet.
Jose, they probably wanted to make sure, like, once they landed on Moicano, they probably want to make sure, like, before Moicano jumped on a bunch of airplanes that, maybe I'm sure he took a COVID test before he left, rather than have RDA get ready and get all his ducks in a row. Yeah, make sure that Moicano is even good to go. I know there were some concerns about the weight and everything, so I think before you get his hopes up, I think you wanted to make sure that Moicano was 100% in, and then you can send him over. So, yeah, I mean, I would love to hear from RDA. He's first ballot Hall of Famer. I think he's always got a great attitude, and I just hated seeing his face on the MMA Hour when Ariel told him that the fight was off. Like, that's such a heartbreaking moment. And,
what a crazy sport.
But I know, man.
Like, what are we doing here? It's almost like Maury Povich, like, you are not the father. Like, what? Like, we're hearing these kind of like big news for these fighters, like, live on like with their freaking holding their phones in front. Like, what? I'm not fighting? All right.
Yeah.
Just like
I actually think because of that, this whole Islam situation, the way RDA's handled it, quote unquote, calling Islam's bluff and everything. Like, if RDA goes out there and just steamrolls Renato Moicano, like, he gets a boost from this, I think, because this guy went publicly and said, this is the guy that a lot of the media members are saying is the #1 lightweight in the world, and I'm going to fight this guy. Like, I'll fight him. Let's go. Let's make it happen. And now you have the president of your company, the face of your promotion, telling the world that Islam Makhachev turned down the fight against Rafael Dos Anjos. So if Dos Anjos goes out there and wins, and Joe Rogan stands next to him and puts a microphone in his face, and he just no-sells Islam and said, I was going to call it Islam Makhachev, but he already turned me down, forget it, and then cuts a fiery promo on Connor or somebody else, like, he gets a boost, in my opinion. So while the championship stakes and maybe the move up the rankings and those stakes may not be there for him, the popularity stock, the court of public opinion, that stock could rise quite a bit if he goes out there and wins and then does his job on the microphone after the fight.
But what if RDA doesn't come back and fight next week? I guess.
Where's the?
Just don't say you want to fight. Just don't say anything. Just don't say anything on Twitter that you want to fight.
Exactly. That's yeah.
That wasn't
okay.
That wasn't worthy of the applause sound effect?
Just you got your own applause.
Okay, I was just gonna ask.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
you're the producer. I asked. You know better than I do. I just love that take because I would love to see a fiery RDA like call his shot. You know.
Are we not okay? But everyone keeps talking about RDA. RDA this. What happens if Moicano wins? Are we just giving him no chance? Are we giving him the Bobby Green chance? Like
not at all. No, not at all.
What happens if Moicano wins? Is he all of a sudden?
Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! I'm
Top
picking
10?
Moicano to win. I'm picking Moicano to win.
I am too.
So I think he's flying under the radar. The 5 rounds kind of worries me just because of everything he's had to go through this week. But I think stylistically, X's and O's, I think Moicano matches up pretty darn well against RDA, especially like 2022 RDA. If this is like 4 years ago, I'm probably singing a different tune. But I'm not saying RDA like. It's just overall mileage, and Moicano I feel like is just an underrated guy across the board. I mean, this is a guy who went into the cage and outstruck Calvin Kattar for 15 minutes, just put it on him, like a tremendous performance. And we always look at Moicano as this ground technician, but striking is really good. I mean, it's really good. I just wonder what happens if this fight gets truly extended, rounds 4, rounds 5, because Moicano tends to fade a little bit. And RDA can put on that kind of pressure. Like if he just goes in there and tries to chain takedowns over and over and over again and has some of this stuff going on and it just tries to grind him out, it could be a tough night for Moicano. But I like stylistically how Moicano matches up with this version of RDA. It's got to be a fun fight, like a really good fight. I'm very excited about it as an actual like just fighting a fan of fighting. I really like the fight. I think Moicano's got a very good chance to win.
And RDA is 37, lots of mileage, and he hasn't fought since 2020. Against Paul Felder, split decision against Paul Felder. I mean, and
it shouldn't have been a split, but
regardless. Yeah. And is 170? I mean, is lightweight or 160 RDA's best weight now? I mean, I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of. I don't know what RDA we're getting actually. I don't know. Is this championship run RDA or is this I don't know.
I'm just trying to. I'm just looking at Moicano's record, and he has done well against high level competition. I will say, Mike, you mentioned the Calvin Kattar win, of course, which I would say is probably his best win, at least the way it's aged. The Calvin Kattar win. Jeremy Stephens was a very, very good win at the time. Jeremy Stephens was ranked when Moicano beat him. And Cub Swanson was also very good win. I don't remember if he was ranked at the time, but obviously a good win. It's Cub Swanson. So, and those are at featherweight, fine. But he's also lost against like really good guys, Ortega, Jose Aldo, Chen Sung Jung, Fiziev, and I kind of put RDA in that tier. Again, maybe this
only one of those were at lightweight.
Only one of those at lightweight, right? Just the Fiziev fight. That's right.
Go back and watch that Fiziev fight. Go back and watch it because I would also say, in a lot of people's minds, people look at that Fiziev fight like Fiziev just walked in there and just beat the brakes off of him. Not the case. Not the case at all. Like Fiziev landed that big shot and flat and basically took him out of the fight. But up until that point, Moicano was looking pretty good on the feet. Like he's looking pretty good in that fight until that left hook landed. And that's one thing that, like, if you have a knock against Moicano, is that it takes him a little time to get cooking. Like his chin can be susceptible to just getting starched out pretty quickly. But once he gets comfortable and gets past that point, and like if he has to weather a storm and he weathers it, he's a tough out for anybody. Like he's a tough out for anybody. So
which I was saying earlier, like his losses, you gotta watch the fight because they were competitive till what wasn't, obviously.
Yes.
And Moicano's one of the guys, he wins big and loses big, and I think people just kind of they see the big losses, not see the big wins. That's all.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. But that's the thing is he is good enough to compete with anyone. My question is he good enough to beat the best of the best? He can be competitive against anyone at 145, anyone at 155. You mentioned before that the losses I mentioned, like his big losses were at 145. His big wins were also at 145, right? Mm-hmm. So his wins at lightweight are good. Like I think Damir Hadzovic is kind of underrated. Jai Herbert's fine. Alexander Hernandez, solid top 25 guy. But I still need to see him get over that hump and be more than just competitive. Like I think his fight with RDA goes to a decision. I think you're right. I think maybe he wins a round, maybe two. I think I'm not ready to overlook RDA yet. I just think he's one of the pound for pound like most well-rounded fighters in all of MMA. I'd go top 20.
But is he still? That's the thing.
I think he is. I think, like I said, the Felder fight was competitive, but I think a pretty clear win. The split thing is going to, if we look back on it, kind of mess with their perception of it. And then he had some,
was that Felder's last fight? Was that Felder's retirement fight?
I believe it was, right?
Or did he retire?
Yeah.
He didn't. He retired after.
He came out of retirement and then re-retired.
Okay, that was it. Thank you. So that's what I'm saying. So I mean, if we're gonna throw a bunch of asterisks on wins, it's I don't know. He fought a guy, just getting a paycheck. I don't know. So I'm very interested in this fight. It's not the fight we wanted, but there's definitely some a lot of unknowns coming into this fight. So it is it's still very interesting.
It's a very good fight. I mean, it's a great co-main event. If it had been the fight originally booked, if they'd booked Moicano instead of Fiziev, no one would have batted an eye. Like we'd be like, that's a great co-main event. It just because it's at 160, it's short notice. We feel like we're not.
Jed has basically wrote about 20 different ways that Moicano has no chance of winning. So okay, all right, Jed. All right, we get it, Jed.
Oh man, he says, over Jed, 5 rounds, Moicano fades. RDA is going to put it on him as a fight track.
I have put to quote Jed Meshew, I have put the boots to Jed Meshew on our picks over the last few weeks. So I don't want to hear it. Like he's the Tom Coughlin of MMA picks.
Wow.
Yeah, Tom Coughlin could live off the Super Bowl win over the Patriots for 5 seasons. He could go 1-15, but that's his Juliana Pena pick over Amanda Nunes. He can live off of that forever for the next few years. But look at the statistics. I am putting the boots to Jed Meshew. My picks have been pretty darn good this year. I have a pretty decent read on this fight, and I agree with Jed. I am concerned about this fight getting extended, but I feel like Moicano stylistically matches up pretty well. See, Jed, another one, just underrating Moicano, and maybe I did a little bit in the Hernandez. I picked Hernandez to beat Moicano with the first round knockout because I thought if Hernandez was going to win, that was the only chance he was going to have, and I knew most every was going to be on Moicano, so that was more of a strategic pick for me than anything. But yeah, I think this is a much better fight than Jed thinks it's going to be. And again, strategic pick. There you go, David. And Jed will have that for the rest of his career.
Yeah. Never forget, he also picked Poirier over Oliveira. So if we're gonna,
he's had
there's
some
a lot
bad
of
ones.
There's a lot of Jed picks I'll never forget, and you guys shouldn't either. Let's put it that way.
He chastised me for picking Tai Tuivasa. He chastised me for picking.
He's not here to defend himself. Hold on now.
You guys are talking a lot about someone who's wrong a lot.
Jose is right. Exactly. We are promoting. We are promoting the Jed Meshew brand.
We got the Jesus Christ from Jose. Jeez.
Jose turning heel. AK's turning heel. Jose's full heel today. This is nuts.
Oh, there was another comment I felt like I needed to address, and now it's gone from my memory, but it doesn't particularly matter. Yes. I think either way, we're expecting a pretty competitive co-main event, a very cool fight. Maybe not as cool if we said if Islam had stepped in, or Terrence McKinney, like we said, he said, would have been such a cool, neat option. But
I like
this
that.
is great. This is a great high level fight.
Mike, do you think Moicano was the correct pick as far as a replacement, or I know I don't know who else threw their name in the hat, but I actually liked McKinney one the best. But that didn't seem to get too often.
I get it, but I mean, McKinney would have been an interesting option, right? Because had he won, I mean, what a story that would be. I mean, We're talking front runner for fighter of the year if he goes out there and beats RDA. Like at this point, 2-0. If he wins, he probably finishes him. I mean, you're talking front runner for fighter of the year, and to do it in back-to-back cards or that quickly would be an amazing story.
A great story.
However, However, my one concern would be, Terrence McKinney is a guy with a very high ceiling right now. And you want to kind of keep him on a trajectory where you can build him up and promote him the right way and keep his confidence up. Bellator does a great job of building these guys, maybe not putting him in these spots where a ton of eyeballs are upon them, but they're very good confidence boosting promotion and getting you to sort of your peak level of where you're going to be in that promotion. Sometimes, and we talked about it with Johnny Walker, sometimes when you have a couple of nice wins and your star power starts to shoot up, then you get thrown into these big fights. Sometimes you can't come back from that, or it's a very hard time to come back from. So maybe that's part of the UFC's concern. If we throw him in there with RDA, if he wins, it's great, but is the downside worth it to us? And is it worth it for Terrence McKinney and the way he views his fighting career, where he can go? Like the RDA fight, like Terrence McKinney, if RDA loses this fight or whatever, and Terrence McKinney goes out and runs off a couple wins, like the RDA fight could be there for him in a year, like as kind of that litmus test fight if he wins a couple more fights. So I get it. It would have been a cool story, but had he gone out there and lost, like,
but it's a plain of house money type fight. It's a house money type fight. Like you said, Bobby Green. Bobby Green didn't lose anything, right? You think Bobby Green didn't lose anything last week?
Bobby Green's also been in the UFC for like a decade. That's a whole different story. Like Bobby Green's paid his. Not saying Terrence.
Very different.
There's paying your dues, and like you don't want to. Bobby Green's just at this point is just like, dude, just I'll fight every month. Like, give me anybody, I'll fight every month. Like, let's go. I don't care about titles. Terrence McKinney is wants to be a world champion. Bobby Green doesn't care. He just wants to fight and make as much money as possible. And I like both of those viewpoints on the game. Like, both can be very successful. But with a guy like McKinney, like if he goes out there and just gets, I'm not saying this would happen, but if he goes out and gets 50-45 or gets stopped by Rafael dos Anjos, like, yeah, you're playing with house money, but what does that do to his confidence? Like, can he come back from that? Like, what if he goes out and they give him like a Jamie Mullarkey in his next fight and he gets knocked out? Then you're just like, we're questioning this decision more than anything.
And it's, but like, okay, I'm gonna pose because like, Casey, you've said that Edmund was kind of shot up the division a little quickly, and then now he's on like a 4-fight losing streak, same as Dominic Reyes. Like, so I agree with what Mike's saying. I don't want Terrence McKinney to become another Edmund or Dom Reyes, where we're like, they get so, or like even Darren Till at that point, like. Now they're on this long losing streak, and even Darren Till's like, I don't want a main event. I want a 3-round fight to build myself back up. So I get what you're saying. Terrence would have been a really cool fight, but I do agree with Mike. I don't want to see him just get smoked by a veteran, and then all of a sudden, if he loses again, that's 2 in a row.
Only reason I say McKinney is because McKinney was on Ariel's show super confident, saying he literally said, I will fight. I'm ready to fight for the belt. And then he puts his name out there, you know, that I'll fight RDA.
Perfect.
I know. So maybe it's all talk. Yeah, maybe it's coaches. Maybe it was his coaches behind the scenes that kind of are pulling the reins back. I don't know. I just
his confidence is there. I mean, it's definitely there, and it should be. But I don't want to see him fight RDA right now. I want to see him like. There's no rush with Terrence McKinney. He's a young man just starting his UFC career. He's 2-0. You got no rush. You got all the time in the world. So just build this guy up, and 3 more wins and. We could start talking about him fighting these guys. Like, I think they're doing a great job with Adrian Yanez right now. Like, Adrian Yanez, like, there's a lot, like, on to the next one. Like, how many people were clamoring for Adrian Yanez fighting top 15 opponents, like, right now? Like, some people are saying, hey, let's do Adrian Yanez versus Rob Font, best boxer in the UFC fight. Like, that's crazy. You don't want to do that now. Adrian Yanez is on a nice little run right now. He just had a hard battle with Davey Grant that he learned a lot from, got the win, took some big shots in that fight. Like, especially in a division like this, you build these guys up the right way. Now, if they do Yanez, Sean O'Malley, I mean, cool. They both wanted it. Like, there's a story there. You want to go that route, go for it. But there's certain guys that if they're stocks, you want to buy into those stocks right now. And Terrence McKinney is one of those guys, but you don't want to you don't want the stock to just explode and then just plummet. You gotta treat it right. Let it build progressively over time. And there's certain guys like that. And I feel like McKinney is one of those guys. And, like I said, had he got this fight, would have been a cool story, but what are we talking about if he goes out there and just gets 50-45? Like, then we're just like, okay, no problem. House money, right? Good job stepping up. But if he goes out and like loses his next fight, then we're like, man, should he have taken that fight? Should he have just waited and progressed? Like, I think we'd have different questions.
And I know Tom Aspinall has said this because like Tom Aspinall wanted the slow build, and now I think he's fighting Volkov at the right time in the main event in London. Like, I know they wanted him to fight JDS, like Junior, like when Junior was still in the thing, and he was like, if I fight Junior, I'm gonna be fighting top 6 guys the rest, like my next few fights, win or lose. Am I that good yet? And like because again, like his teammate is Darren Till. He sees what happens firsthand. So I think slow build with Terrence is the way to go.
Yeah, Casey O'Neill, another example of this. She's another one that's like, every interview she does, she's asked about Valentina in some of these big fights. But both of them have gone on I'll fight Valentina in 4 years. Like, we're cool.
But both of them have gone on the record saying, I'm not ready for those fighters. McKinney, on the other hand, is not going that route. He's saying, I want those fights. So that's the only reason I'm whatever.
Spirited, gentlemen. Spirited. Sorry, I just saw people asking in the comments about, does someone
talked a lot about it. We talked a lot about a fighter who's not even fighting on this card.
Hey, that's again, that
We
shows
got time
how,
to kill.
We got time.
how
man.
great we do, and also shows how great his performance was, how great his appearance was on the MMA Hour. So
I'm really impressed by him. I'm really impressed by him. That's all.
We're talking about you. But people have been asking, who has this person weighed in? Well, guys, again, we have this handy graphic. And also, Mike, I think now is as good a time as any while we wait for the remaining fighters. Hit him with another rundown, please.
Okay. Just waiting for the rundown music for UFC 272. Tomorrow at the T-Mobile Arena, Colby Covington in the main event, weighed in at 170.5 pounds, taking on Jorge Masvidal, who is yet to weigh in. Rafael dos Anjos and Renato Moicano. That catchweight main event is official for 5 rounds, both weighing in at 160 pounds. Edson Barboza, Bryce Mitchell. That exciting featherweight battle is official as well. Both gentlemen weighed in at 145.5. Kevin Holland, Alex Oliveira, both weighing in at 170. Sergey Spivak, 243.5. He will welcome Greg Hardy back to the octagon. We probably won't see Greg Hardy hit the scale for another 49 minutes or so. Jamie Mullarkey weighted at 155.5, takes on Jalen Turner, who is yet to step on the scale. Marina Rodriguez, Xionan, big strawweight battle on ESPN, 116 apiece. Negumereanu, 205.5, taking on Kennedy Nzechukwu, who weighed in at 206. Marina Moroz, 125.5, takes on Mariya Agapova, who weighed in at 126 pounds. Umar Nurmagomedov weighed in at 146 for his featherweight matchup with Brian Kelleher, weighed in at 145. Tim Elliott, 126, takes on Tagir Ulanbekov, 125.5. Ludovic Klein, 156, taking on Devontae Smith, also weighing at 156. Dustin Jacoby weighs in at 205.5, takes on Michal Oleksiejczuk. What a fight that's going to be. A great, great first fight of the night. He weighed in at 206. Back to you, AK.
Thank you, my best friend. That was fantastic. I'm starting a new poll. The last poll, who won the UFC 272 press conference, actually got a bit closer, but Covington, 57%, Jorge Masvidal, 42%. The new poll coming up, because I do want to talk about other fights in the card. What UFC 272 prelim are you most looking forward to? Now, there's a lot of good choices here, so it kind of sucks. I can only have 4 options. So I went Turner versus Mullarkey, Rodriguez versus Jan, Umar Nurmagomedov versus Brian Kelleher, or other. Leave comment, guys. So Nurmagomedov, Kelleher out to it quickly, but only a few votes are in. So guys, specifically prelims. Again, we are still waiting also on the main event to become official anyway, so we can talk about that a bit more later. Hopefully, if Masvidal is one of the first of the next 3 to come in, then we can start talking about it once it's we play the official music for it. But we have some pretty nice prelims here. So guys, let's go low key banger, specifically prelims, not just undercards, specifically prelims. Casey, let me go to you first. What's your low key banger on this card?
Well, Moroz Agapova.
Sure.
I don't know very much about the Nicholas. I can't even say his last name. How do I say it?
Nico. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's that's if you don't want to say that.
Yeah, I've enjoyed Kennedy Ninja. Oh my God.
That's another tough one. And Nzechukwu. It's a tough one. That's another tough one. Kennedy versus Nico. Kennedy versus Nico.
Because that's the first time I'm saying him out loud. Like, oh God. Is Rodriguez Jan? Is that a low key? Is that?
I mean, I think when I say low key, low key banger can mean whatever reason. Do you think it's gonna be a fight of the night, super exciting fight, or you're just intrigued because it has rank? It's really
obviously it's weird. Like outside of the main event, that fight has the most title stakes. So clearly. which is odd that it's so far down. I'm a big Marina Rodriguez fan. I think she's fantastic. I think it's a great fight. Yeah. So that one. Actually, you know what? I'm really into all these fights. I think I really like this card. I mean, especially as a card top to bottom. And I think basically every fight has potential to be a fun, exciting fight with high level, fighters. So everything's actually a low key banger on this card. So applause to the UFC matchmakers. I mean, I like this card. It's good.
And the fighters, of course, for signing on for these. So Rodriguez versus Jan, of course, for what it means for the their division for the UFC, and you like Nico Negumereanu and Kennedy Nzechukwu for possible banger or a quick someone's getting knocked out. I don't know.
I think Klein Smith is gonna be a great fight.
All right, hold on, Lion. All right, hold on, Lion. You get one. You get one.
All right.
Come on.
You know
I
what?
give you two.
I'll say there's one fight in the card I just really don't care about, and that's gonna be the Hardy Spivak fight. It's just a heavyweight fight. That's cool. Whatever.
Yeah. Mike, prelim banger.
It's Jalen Turner, James Mullarkey. That's the one. We got two guys. I mean, I know it's I'll save my Lukey banger for the preview show, but if we're talking like the prelim fight that I think is going to be the most exciting and could end in spectacular fashion. I mean, you can make an argument for some of these, but Jalen Turner, James Mullarkey is just going to be a barn burner. Those two guys are just going to get after it. Hard strikes. Mullarkey's going to land a big shot. How is Turner going to deal with it? Turner's out here submitting dudes now. He's just so big for the weight class. He's so tall for the weight class, and he's starting to put it together. Mullarkey's putting it together. I feel like these two guys are, on the precipice of not getting into the top 15 just yet, but one of these guys is going to be a top 15 guy potentially before the end of the year. So I feel like the matchmaking is perfect for these guys. They're both on a run. Both have been exciting. Both are finishing fights. This fight ain't going 15 minutes. Someone's getting put away, and my guess is someone gets put away within the first 7.5 minutes. So love the fight. I like that it's in that spot. I think it's going to be a great appetizer for the main card. It's just going to be good. I think Rodriguez and Xionan's going to be a great fight in a different way, but I think Turner Mullarkey has technique and chaos rolled into one. It's just going to be a great fight. So I think it's that one.
Yeah, were it not for the complaints that some of us have had about the placing of Rodriguez Xionan, Turner Mullarkey is the perfect, like if you're asking what should an ESPN headliner look like the prelim headliner, that's exactly the kind of guys you put in an ESPN prelim headliner. Again, young guys who could be top 15, top 10 ranked in the future. Very exciting. Turner, 3 straight wins, all 11-5 as a pro, all 11 of his wins are by knockout or submission. People love that. Mullarkey, 2 straight wins, and I think 14 wins, 13 out of 14 wins by knockout or submission. So this is a good one. We are still waiting for Turner to make weight. Mike, you mentioned he is pretty big for the light. He's a huge lightweight. So fingers crossed that there's no issues there. That fight is not official yet, but we are assuming and hoping that it turns out well. I saw someone in the comments complaining. No offense, you guys are boring me. Why are they slow bringing out the rest of the fighters? Yeah, Jose, can you get the fighters to come out quicker?
Carry him out, Jose. Go get Greg Hardy.
Why are they not listening to you? And why can't you get the guys to come up fast?
Mr. Hardy, your table's ready, Mr. Hardy.
It's above my pay grade.
Jose, prelim banger.
You'll have to tune into the MMA fighting preview show for my prelim banger.
Look at that. This guy's such a businessman. He's always promoting the next thing. Jose will have his. All right, guys, you got to tune in preview show, which will be. Can we let people know now? So the ceremonial weigh-ins won't be until 7 p.m. Eastern time, 4 p.m. local.
Correct.
So, guys, when are we're planning preview show after
the ceremonial weigh-ins? Yeah, we got to find out what happens.
And then And then I'm going to zip over to Halle Berry and Dana White are doing a Q&A. They're doing like a behind the scenes of Bruised. So I'm going to go from the ceremonials and I'm going to rush back hopefully in time for the preview show. And then the second that's over, I got to drive all the way back to the Apex to get to this.
Well, if you have to leave the preview show early, go for it. You do not leave Halle Berry waiting. Let me put that. If Halle Berry is available,
you don't have to tell me. You don't have to tell me that.
You do not leave Halle Berry waiting. If we learn one thing,
I know it's a hard choice.
You do not leave Halle Berry waiting.
It's a hard choice between hanging out with me on Zoom or hanging out with, or being like just feet away from Halle Berry. I know it's a hard choice, but Jose, I really respect that you're able to make that tough decision. Yeah.
If you have an Academy Award, I'm gonna respect your time. That's pretty much my
Monsters
rules
Ball.
for life.
Monsters Ball, Halle Berry, Academy Award winner.
Wait, hold on. Okay, well, I'm gonna show something right now, just for people that missed it.
Number 1 contender, Colby Chaos Covington.
Sorry about the loud. Oh wait, where is it? Why didn't it show up? Why is it not showing up?
Okay.
Ah, man, why is it?
There we go. It's coming, guys. We will have the Covington weigh-in.
170.5, the official weight.
Sorry, let me go backwards.
The number 1 contender, Colby Chaos Covington. 170.5, the official weight for Colby Covington.
Throwing out the 305, of course, as he is the king of Miami, the self-professed king of Miami.
Yeah, so just want to, trying to show some replays, Get some...
Oh, absolutely. We are still waiting on one Mr. Jorge Masvidal. But yes, so people look for our live preview show. It will be live, right, Mike?
Yes.
Look for our live preview show around 7:30, 7:45 Eastern time, and 4:45 local time for you West Coasters, so the KC time. But yeah, you'll be seeing more of us. We'll have a Q&A tomorrow as well, probably about 45 minutes before showtime. Early prelims set to start at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific time. So 45 minutes before that, guys. Jump in. We'll answer some questions now as well, guys. If you want to throw some questions in the chat, absolutely. Again, we are waiting for two main card fighters, plus Jalen Turner, and it could be quite a long wait for Mr. Greg Hardy. He is does cut quite a bit of weight for heavyweight. So any questions, feel free to throw them in there. Before we do that, while those accumulate, Casey,
we got movement.
Guys,
we got movement. We got movement.
Where's that scale going? Jalen Turner.
No, that's a 70. I think that's Jorge.
Maybe Masvidal.
Cool green jacket, bro.
Guy in a suit.
Get us the scoop here. Jose is on top of it.
I mean, I just cannot take my eyes off Anek's jacket. Just tremendous.
It's so ghastly. I know. It's an eyesore. They really burned that thing after. Ugh, the front is even worse.
How dare you?
I will say,
How dare you the names of Larry Bird and Robert Parrish and Kevin McHale. No. How dare you?
That Celtics team's balling out of control right now.
It's Jalin.
They're crushing people. And they just signed a Canadian boy, Nick Stauskas. Oh, no one cares about this. I'm sorry, guys. Here's Jalen Turner.
To the scale, competing in the featured prelim on ESPN in the lightweight division, Jalen the Tarantula Turner.
Jalen Turner, a huge lightweight.
Is he just
cannot be having a good time making weight.
156. 56 pounds, the official weight for Jalen Turner.
156 for Jalen Turner. His fight with Jay Mullarkey is now official. Let us get this man hydrated, please, and fed, because he did a nice little bow there, but he did look for a second there like he could not wait to get off that scale and get back to recovering and recuperating. Okay, so there we go. Just Jorge Masvidal and Greg Hardy next. And before I tell people the usual thing we say for heavyweights, we usually go, oh, heavyweights coming in last, don't worry, they're just taking their time. Again, Greg Hardy comes in around 265, 266, and almost missed weight once before being given extra time. So who knows what's going on with that guy. And Masvidal, as Jose mentioned earlier, guys, if you're just tuning in, is staying at the place separate from the Fighter Hotel. So Jose, we don't know yet. You haven't heard any word if he has arrived at the venue yet.
Nothing. No, because like with Colby, we saw that video and stuff. But I haven't heard nothing from Jorge. I haven't seen anyone on his team either.
Okay, so no. We have no sign of Masvidal so far. But guys, okay. Well, we have questions coming in. I think Casey.
Yeah. I can just throw some up.
Throw them in there.
Some comments. I don't like that comment.
Oh, we love the comments.
This is a good one.
Quadrex, Bolby. Oh, this is a burn. New nickname for Colby Covington. Bolby Bummington. Oh, I shouldn't have even read that on the air. I apologize for the language. Casey, you can't just throw that on there. I'll read anything you throw in there.
What was that Anchorman? He just reads the cue cards.
Yeah, exactly. Please don't demonetize. Quadrex, that's a sick burn. Come on now. Don't put that. There's kids watching. Don't put that on the stream.
Well, this is an interesting question, and we talked about this I think yesterday on our.
I'll be the judge of that.
Oh, okay.
Oh, Davis Shane wants to know: will Masvidal lose the large draw if he gets finished again? Specifically finished, Mike.
I'm leaning towards no. I mean, I know on BTL, Jed and Sean thought that this is clearly, unequivocally more of a must-win for Covington than it is for Masvidal, and there's some truth to that. But I feel like a loss definitely hurts Masvidal here, especially if it's a dominant loss. Now, if he goes in there and loses a 48-47 decision, yeah, it stings, and he's got to deal with that, and he has to deal with the fact that he lost to Colby Covington, and that's probably going to eat at him a little bit. But if he goes out there and gets like 50-44 or gets submitted in the 5th round, and this fight is not even close, like that has to do something to Masvidal's stock. It has to. Like, I don't care how big of a star you are. Like, Masvidal will still have big fights, and he'll still have a lot of fans, and his social media following will be massive, and his interviews will still do hundreds of thousands of views. But in his long-term fighting career, his fighting future, man, it takes a hit if he goes out there and just gets crushed by Colby. If he gets finished by Colby, I mean, not as bad as Covington getting finished, but his stock does take a drop. It definitely does.
I think there's two types of getting dominated. He can lose, like when he lost to Usman the first time. You call it the house money type of loss. If it's that type of 50-45, or you're talking about like where he's on the ground basically surviving for 24 minutes of that fight. You're talking about that type of
If Colby does what he did to Robbie Lawler,
if
Colby does what he did to Robbie Lawler to Jorge, yes, his stock's gonna take a plummet because Colby landed so many strikes. It was just a dominant performance. Like I expect this fight to be much more competitive than the betting lines suggest. I think every round will be pretty close. Like I do think Masvidal is a dangerous guy throughout this fight. Masvidal does such a great job in the builds of these fights because like when this fight was booked, my first thought was, man, Colby's going to 50-45 him. He's just going to take him down over and over again. It's just going to be a typical Colby Covington type performance. But Masvidal does such a good job in trying to sway you with how he promotes fights. I came on this very YouTube channel before UFC 261 on the People's Pre-Fight Show. Masvidal completely turned me. I picked Masvidal to beat Kamaru Usman. I picked him to knock him out in the first round.
In the first fight?
And then we saw what happened there. Yeah, in the second fight.
Oh, the second fight. Refresh my memory. How was that fight competitiveness wise up until the knockout? Because I remember Usman winning the fight, but not necessarily like, oh, this is one-way traffic. It was a competitive. It was a pretty. That's what I mean. It was a competitive. I mean, Usman was winning, but it was competitive until obviously the big cross landed. I thought Mike.
Let me see if the scorecards to go back and look at it. But
did you listen to Mike Brown?
I think I scored it for Usman, but it was a competitive round.
Yeah. Did you listen to Mike Brown's interview on MMA Hour about the coaching Masvidal and the mistakes they made with Usman? Basically, I
saw some of it. By the way, Usman, 2 judges scored round 1 for Usman, 1 scored it for Masvidal.
Okay.
At 271. So close round.
Yeah. It was basically and Mike Brown's a fantastic fighter. Well, he was a fantastic fighter and a great coach. And I actually liked a lot what he said. He wasn't trying to make excuses, but he kind of said, "Oh, we really just didn't plan for Usman to knock Masvidal out. It just wasn't part of the plan." And he goes, "We just know Colby doesn't have that power."
Oh, Jose.
Oh, we got Jose here.
My camera spazzed.
There you go.
Oh, okay. I thought that was...
We liked it. We liked that, Jose. We don't need to see that.
I thought you had a crazy ass update for us. Okay.
Yeah.
No. Can you guys still hear me?
Yeah, we hear you fine.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I forgot my second computer charger, so I'm bouncing my computer charger back and forth between laptops. So when I unplugged it from the one stream, it
just acts weird.
Spaz for a second.
You are all good.
Okay. Question for AK.
I want to say one thing about that is the worst case scenario is what happened with Covington and Woodley. Like that was, I mean, it obviously didn't kill Woodley's, marketability because he went on to go fight Jake Paul, but he definitely had to like go out. Clearly, that was like it was done for him in MMA. Like I think like when he lost the fight, and you can mention like what could happen to Masvidal, getting dominated the entire fight and then losing in the 5th round and like by injury. Boy, like that's like that's gonna hurt you if you're Masvidal. That will hurt your trying power. Fortunately, again, hey, look, he's got his own bare knuckle promotion. He's got his own MMA promotion. He's got other. Dan Lambert was just saying he's got all these other, pigs on the fire. These other things that he's doing outside. He can pursue outside of MMA. He was on AEW, but that will. Yeah, competitive fight, fine.
Yeah.
Controversy, fine. But boy, like him getting like just crushed for 4.5 rounds and then getting finished. That's gonna hurt you.
That all makes sense. But
He
then,
also.
sorry, go on, Jose. Sorry.
I was gonna just throw something in with AK said because you said he had a bare knuckle promotion and an MMA promotion. He also has a bare knuckle MMA promotion.
That's next level. That's next level.
Anyway, continue what you were saying.
No, everything you're saying makes sense about, if Masvidal gets knocked out, he gets dominated for 24 minutes, he gets knocked out, it's done, he's done. I get that, but then I mean, I know he's not as big as Conor, but man, we've seen Conor get freaking knocked out, and we've seen Conor get dominated, and yet Conor's next fight, there's a good chance he's fighting for the title after all that. So
he's on another level.
I know he's on another. I mean, I know he's on a level, but I'm just saying, everything makes sense what we're saying, but then I also don't. I haven't seen it before. When guys get to a certain level, they're just there. I mean, yeah, they might go down a little bit with losses, but it's not like back at the line. Like if Colby gets knocked out, then he goes way farther back than say. If Masvidal
and no
gets
one's arguing
out.
that. No one's arguing that. Like a knockout loss for Covington.
Well, I just don't think Masvidal loses that much, no matter how the fight goes, unless it's like I don't know, he gets Ben Askren himself. He loses in 10 seconds. That's. But even Ben Askren came back and got his biggest fight ever with Jake Paul. So who knows?
Jake Paul saved him and Woodley really. So I mean that's the thing. Let's put it this way: it would not surprise us if Masvidal got embarrassed on Saturday and then went on to fight Jake Paul.
And made more money. Way more money.
Yeah, that's incredibly likely. Yeah,
that's so weird.
Yes, because Jake Paul, that speaks to Jake Paul's just being wise, picking opponents. Like he knows who he just knows. He's picked everything perfectly. Everything to this point he has done absolutely perfectly. So, and love him or hate him, people watched and people cared. I mean, you may not have bought pay-per-view, but you cared.
I think it's going to depend entirely on, like, say, how the loser loses will affect their career, because Colby Covington only has 3 stoppage wins in his entire UFC run, and they've all come in the last round of all of those fights. If he knocks Jorge Masvidal in the first round, that's pretty detrimental to Jorge Masvidal, especially for a guy that, Jorge, the whole fight week has been like, oh, you're going to sniff my crotch, this and that. You're not going to strike with me. If Colby Covington knocks out Jorge Masvidal, which I don't think is going to happen in the first round, that is a massive blow. If Jorge goes out there and just does to Colby what Colby does to everyone else, that's going to be massively detrimental to Colby Covington. So ask me on Saturday night after the fights, and we can all probably have a better answer. Because if it's like, if it's Kamaru Colby 1, and because that fight was fun. It's an exciting back and forth fight. Neither man loses anything. That just sets up the rematch. So I'm gonna be the ask me later thing.
If this fight,
Casey, I have a question. I have a question for you. I have a question for you because you're preparing for your own fight.
Oh yeah.
You're more in tune with all of this, more so than us, because you're actually preparing. You're in the gym and all this stuff. So some of the things that I've seen on social media as far as storylines going into this fight is the impact of Masvidal getting knocked out brutally in his last fight. Like, what will that do? I don't think it makes him gun shy, but what kind of effect does that have on a fighter? And then on the Colby end, he just fought 4 months ago in an absolute war with Kamaru Usman, where he got dropped twice. He got hit a lot. I mean, the momentum swung in his favor at the end, but he went in there and had a 25-minute war. So what do you feel is more impactful here? Masvidal coming in off of a knockout, but having a lot more time to sort of recover from that, or Covington coming in after a 5-round war with the champion? Like, what do you think is more impactful, or is that not impactful at all?
I think the Covington coming off the Usman fight is more impactful. I think Masvidal is so experienced. Masvidal's been knocked out before. He's been dropped plenty of times before. He's lost by knockout before in previous fights. This was just the biggest one that we've seen, so we just all saw. But he got knocked out in Sengoku and stuff before.
Being Masvidal, I think we're about to see him.
Quick
Yes.
Quick update. Close. He's close.
What?
Okay.
He's close.
He's close.
I assume
Gotcha.
Jorge is close.
Oh, Jorge is close. Gotcha. I think we missed the Jorge part. We just heard close.
I thought Jack Hart close had shown up.
Yeah.
And got really excited for some reason.
Yeah, I really don't think the Jorge knockout will have too much effect on this fight. Honestly, I think Colby just training so much with wrestlers and guys like Usman, and where he's really prepared for lots of wrestling and grappling, which he may get in this fight too. But I think he hasn't been training for Jorge in a long time. So I think that's my feel. I do have a couple of questions. One for AK is very important.
You said there was something for me. What do we got? Oh, David Sandine. How great is Celine Dion? I already responded to him in the comments. I said that is not a question. That is a statement. How great is Celine Dion? I think we can all agree. Yeah, again, it's not a question. I would just tell people this very quickly. Listen to the song Love You More.
No,
I'm just going to do my Celine Dion rant over this very important way. No,
he is here. He is here.
All right. Jorge Masvidal is here.
Oh, man.
It's not a breakfast food. It's lost.
A new tattoo? Damn.
$170.5 for Jorge Masvidal, same as Colby Covington. That main event, guys, is now official.
Also, it appears that Jorge has the tattoo of his flying knee silhouette surrounded by the Infinity Stones.
That's smart. That's great branding. That is great branding. Well done, Jorge Masvidal. Guys, I'm gonna cut my Celine Dion rant short. I know everyone. Again, I kind of answered the question anyway. Celine Dion rules. I don't think we need to go on anymore with that. It's not a debate. Let's talk about. We've said the consequences of the main event. The fight is now official. Let's go. Let's make our picks before whenever Mr. Greg Hardy shows up. Jose, can I go to you first, sir? What is your prediction for the UFC 270?
For what? Say it again.
What is your prediction for the main event on Saturday?
I can't answer that yet. Tell you.
Okay. Preview show.
Yeah, you can't.
Preview show for me
now.
too.
Yeah.
I think we can discuss preview show for everyone. Well, I have to be on it, don't I? Am I gonna be on it?
Yeah.
I am. All right.
Are you on?
Yeah, I think I don't care. I don't care. I'll go more in depth on the show. I don't care. Listen to you guys. I'm a man of the people. Because there's some people here who might not be able to watch the preview show, or maybe they just don't want to, and I respect that. So for anyone, the blessed people who have tuned in, just the only MMA fighting content they ingest during the week is, for whatever reason, the official weigh-ins live stream. This is for you guys. I'm going Masvidal. I'm doing it. I'm normally pretty cowardly with my picks. If people know, I'm probably one of the safest and worst fight predictors in the MMA media. So this time I'll go. If I'm going to be wrong, you know what? Let me just be wrong in a spectacular way. I like chances a lot. I really do. And I do think I think Covington is great. I mean, I understand all the arguments that he is the clear-cut number 2 welterweight in the world. If Kamaru Usman didn't exist, we'd be talking about Covington as an undisputed champion, not just an interim champion. But there's something about this matchup that I like. I like it for Masvidal. I think their shared experience is probably good for both of them, but I think specifically good for Masvidal because I think Covington is so hard to prepare for just because of his style. It's just constant pressure. So if Masvidal has been able to experience that at all in training, I think that's a good thing. So here we go, guys. Just seeing the replay of Colby Covington again. That fight now official. Both guys in at 170.5 pounds, so just a little bit above championship weight. You bet if they had to fight for a title, they would have made that 170 easily. But yeah, guys, I'm going Masvidal. Masvidal by decision. I think it's gonna be a great fight. I think it's gonna be a really good fight of the year.
Masvidal by decision. Wow,
I'm going. Yeah, I think
gangster pick right there.
I don't think he necessarily has to knock him out or catch him. I think it's gonna be close though, because I think it's one of those things where you'll see Masvidal land this is the big judging controversies you always have. I think Masvidal will land the more damaging strikes, which is impossible for us to gauge because we're not actually in the fight. But I think he will land the more impactful strikes. Hopefully gets a knockdown in there somewhere, to make it more clear. But even if he doesn't, I do think he'll land the heavier shots. While at the same time, Covington afterwards will look at the significant strike numbers. Covington will have outstruck him in total by like 20, 30 significant strikes. So there'll be the argument there that Covington won. But I just like Masvidal's power a little bit more. I think accuracy as well. But it's close. I totally understand why Covington. You said Covington's he's at least 2-1 favorite?
The line went up from yesterday. It was minus 305 yesterday. It is minus 335 today.
Minus 335. So big favorite. So I'm going upset.
Yeah, on Tapology, 82% of people are picking Covington, with 74% of those people picking by decision. But you didn't ask my pick because I'm not in the preview show, and
go ahead, Casey.
Well, you want to set me up?
No, I want to add, don't gamble on MMA. For one thing, ever, and definitely don't gamble using any of my picks. Go ahead, Casey. What's your pick?
But also support our sponsor, DraftKings. But don't gamble. Actually, I'm gonna go Masvidal second round KO.
Wow, that's big.
I think decision is kind of crazy. I think him winning by decision is crazier thought, but I do think he'll have a tough first round. But nothing. He won't take too much damage. But I think Masvidal is gonna. I think he's ready for this. It could go so many ways. Obviously, Covington decision is the most logical reasoning, most logical kind of smart pick. 49-46 type of fight, but Masvidal second round KO. Watch it.
If he gets a big KO, we're talking knock. Jose, are you okay?
Oh, there's this. Casey, you'll appreciate this. So I'm plugged into the XLR box. Which is obviously connected to Anik's microphone, but during between people, they play the broadcast. So Anik was mic'd up doing a spot for Sanko and everything, and they were playing that audio while Jorge weighed in. So when Jorge weighed in, I don't hear the weight. I have no audio of the weight. It's literally John Anik talking to Laura Sanko while Jorge Masvidal is on the scale.
Oh, that sucks.
I see.
So I'm luckily Oscar was using his shotgun mic, so he gave me an app, so I don't have Anik. Yeah. So that was
okay.
That was a thing. It is what it is. I was just
I just want to say we have an official pick from New York Rick chiming in on Slack. He says Covington blanks Masvidal 50-45. So he clearly thinks my prediction is insane. Wow. As many people in the comments have suggested as well. But again, my picks are terrible. They're routinely terrible. But hey, if I blindly get this one right, you better believe I'll be isolating that clip and acting like I knew how it was going to go all along. I want to ask you.
So you know what? I will make a prediction. I'll get more into it. I knew you couldn't hold back.
I knew you had to jump in. I knew you had to.
Yeah, I'll get more because I had to be. Someone has to be devil's advocate, and I know New York Rick was, but I have to be devil's advocate. I view this fight not completely the same, but almost in a way similarly to the Woodley fight, only because Jorge Masvidal, if he can't get up for this, then he ain't getting up for any more fights in his career. We are going to get, in my opinion, the best Jorge Masvidal we have ever seen. The most prepared, the most motivated. This will be the best Masvidal that has stepped into the cage, unquestionably, in my opinion. But the question remains, is Colby Covington going to be 90% of himself? Is he going to be the best? Is Colby going to completely overlook Masvidal? Is he going to go in there and look at this fight I'm just going to go in there and steamroll this dude. I don't even care. This is easy money. If that happens, Masvidal has a very good chance to win of winning this fight. If he catches Covington not minding his P's and Q's, he'll win. He'll catch him with something and he'll win the fight. However, the best Covington beats the best Masvidal every single time, in my opinion. I think people just, I'm not gonna say they overrate Masvidal's power. Masvidal is a powerful guy. He's very precise and his timing is impeccable. He's great at playing mind games and using those mind games to turn it into impeccable timing, i.e. the Ben Askren fight. The Darren Till knockout was brutal, but that win hasn't aged all that well. You know what I mean? It just hasn't. And Covington, you can say what you will about Covington, the human being, and Covington, the fight promoter, and all this stuff. You can have your opinions about Covington. But when it's time to put on the bootstraps, when it's time to overcome adversity, when he gets punched in the face, when he gets hurt, the dude sacks up. The dude is tough. He's got a chin on him, and he will just get back out there and start firing back at you. We saw it in both Usman fights. The guy will take a punch. He's not afraid. He's not going to shy away from a fight if he gets clipped. So the mileage on Masvidal, I think I think Covington, it's just a little better for Covington right now. I don't think the mileage is quite as high. I think we're on the road to Covington getting there because Covington's taking some damage. Those Usman fights, he took damage in those fights. And eventually that's going to add up. I think Masvidal's taking more. And I just think the longer this fight goes, unless Masvidal just bolts him in the first 10 minutes of the fight, I just think it's going to be a long night for him. Like, I think that it's going to be more competitive than the betting line suggests. I don't know if Covington covers like a minus 335. Maybe he does. Maybe he goes out there and 50-45s him. But I think people are going to be sweating a little bit. I just feel like Covington's just the better fighter. I think he's got more ways to win. Like, I think Masvidal can bolt him, knock him out, but I think Covington can do more. I think Covington can stand with him. He may not be able to deliver the knockout shot, but I think if this fight gets in the third, fourth, fifth rounds and they play it out in the pocket, I think Covington can win a couple rounds that way. I really do. I think his volume, I think the ability to push Masvidal back a little bit, to get Masvidal kind of back on his back foot a little bit is very possible later in the fight. And yeah, I think Covington's going to win. I think it's going to be a little closer than the betting line suggests. I don't think it's a minus 335 type of line, but yeah, give me Covington to win a decision. Maybe a late finish. I'm not going to go that far, but I'll go with Covington. I feel pretty confident in that pick. And Masvidal does a great job at swaying me in these fight weeks, but maybe I'm wrong. I feel pretty confident Masvidal that Covington wins this fight.
Yeah, I mean, look, Covington by decision is a pretty logical pick. Case at 80-something% typology, minus 330 favorite. I'm sure Covington by decision is by far of all the outcomes, probably the most likely to bet on. So, yeah, I totally understand that. Like I said, I just think I do think it's closer than people think. I love Casey's pick. Casey is exiting stage left at the moment, but I want to, Mike, I will ask you then. Let's say his prediction of Masvidal by knockout happens, whether it's first round, second round, but let's say clean knockout, not like a TKO, clean knockout, whether it's a flying knee, head kick, shot. Let's say it happens. Is that bigger than the 5-second flying knee of Askren, or can nothing sort of top that as far as what it did for Masvidal's career?
Oh,
I mean, they're both. I mean, it's close. It's real close. Askren did such a great job of like getting that out of Masvidal. You know what I mean? Like, it just created this. It just created this snowball effect for Masvidal. Like, it's like his whole career, everything he had worked for, just all came together in that one knee. Like, in those 5 seconds, just everything culminated right there. It was such a massive moment, and I think it's because it was the fight everyone was talking about on that card. Like, everyone had that fight circled on the card. What's going to happen when these two guys get in there? And Masvidal just ended in 5 seconds. I thought Anik did a tremendous job on the call, and I thought all the broadcasters did a tremendous job on the call. Like, everything about it was just a perfect moment. I don't know. I think I have to see it. I mean, it would be huge. If he does it in 4 seconds, good Lord, it's definitely better. But it just depends. It depends on how it happens. It'll be massive, and it'll be, I mean, tons of stories, tons of traffic. The hype and the aftermath of the fight will be much bigger if Masvidal knocks out Colby Covington than if Colby Covington goes out there and wins a decision. And it's not even close. Like, it's not even close. And I think people will celebrate. How Masvidal will handle it after the fact would be kind of interesting. I don't know. Cause I mean, he landed the extra shots on Askren, then he did the fall asleep thing. And how will he react to knocking out Colby? Like, what will he do then? Will we have to get the cops in riot gear in there to pull him off? Like that. Dude, I mean, honestly,
I hope they have that for the face off. I hope they have the cops like in the cage, like splitting them. You know. Oh God, I think they did that. I think they did that in some Mike Tyson fight. They had, like, before they had the fight, they had like cops split the ring. You know, so they couldn't fight before the fight. So I hope they do something stupid like that.
Guys, I told you, it's all a work. If he knocks him out too badly, he's gonna like be cradling his body, like, no, what have I done? It went too far.
I'm sorry, best friend.
Bringing him Celine Dion song.
Why do we do this? Just a real existential moment for all of us. No, I agree. A knockout would just. I honestly, like I said, Casey, you predicted clean like knockout. I didn't even go that far. A big clean knockout of like I can't imagine the reaction that like the pop that we get at T-Mobile and people just jumping out of their seat. People might, it'd be like a college basketball game. People might like rush the cage. Like you're right. They might need the security and cops in there. People might just rush the cage. Like it's just so, I don't know. It's just it'd be such an insane moment.
And imagine if this was in South Florida. Oh boy.
Miami. God, this should have been in Miami.
I'll make a pretty safe assumption here. If Jorge Masvidal knocks out Colby Covington, we will have the most viewed post-fight show in the last 18 months. That is a guarantee. Like I feel pretty strongly about that one.
I like it.
Can I ask you another sort of fighting question, Casey?
Oh, yes.
Because a lot's been made. The whole build for this fight has been former teammates, and these guys used to train together and roll together and all that stuff. And yeah, there's a story there. There's some familiarity there, right? But it's been 3 years since these guys have trained together. Like they've gone on to do different things. Like Colby, basically left the team and did his own thing. Colby Covington Incorporated, and like Masvidal and Covington like haven't really rolled or sparred together in so long. And I feel like Colby's a much different fighter now than he was now at MMA Masters. And we saw it in the second Usman fight, because that was one of the things I was thinking about, like, was it enough time at MMA Masters? Like it's been he was there for 2 years heading into the Usman fight, and you could see the improvements in his striking and his boxing. And Masvidal is obviously not the same fighter either. He's doing different things, bringing in Bo Nickel and bringing all his different training partners. Like, how much of a factor do you think that's going to play in this fight? Like the familiarity from 3, 4, 5 years ago when these guys, Colby was just breaking into the business and Masvidal was the grizzled vet, and they spent all this time together. How much is that factor, knowing that they're both different fighters now?
It's honestly very hard to tell, because we don't know. Like we don't know how hard they sparred together, because I mean, I'm not trying to talk about me too much, but like the guy I'm fighting on the 19th, we've actually sparred a lot. We've probably sparred by 10, 15 rounds together, So like we push each other, but like I felt also we didn't, because we knew we were fighting each other, we didn't give everything too. But like Colby and Masvidal, when they were sparring, I don't think they weren't like holding back, in the sense like they didn't want to show too many tricks, because they go, well, I don't want to, I want to use this against you eventually. So I just don't know how hard they actually sparred together. Training is different, they're drilling together, holding, they're kind of working pads together with each other. But like, has one of them really? I don't. Because they don't bring it up yet, because like they go, oh, remember that time I knocked you out in sparring? Remember that time I submitted you 12 times in a row of that same thing? Like they don't talk about that. So I'm kind of surprised that they haven't really attacked each other in specific training situations. So I don't.
Oh, Greg's here.
Here comes the infamous Greg Hardy. I just have a poll, guys, while he's coming up here. How does the UFC 272 main event end?
All right, next fighter to the scale, competing live on pay-per-view for the third time in the UFC's heavyweight division, the Prince of War, Greg Hardy.
Here is our last weigh-in.
I think he can make weight. He doesn't have a towel.
Oh, he looks all right.
Or he's like 270.
Oh yeah, you're right. 273.
Oh boy.
So sad.
266. 266, the official weight for Greg Hardy.
266 for Greg Hardy, guys. That is right at the heavyweight limit with the 1 pound allowance.
See y'all later today for the ceremonials.
That's a wrap.
His fight with Sergey Spivak is official. As I was saying, guys, there's a poll up there. If you can vote quickly, guys. Covington by finish, Covington by decision, Masvidal by finish, Masvidal by decision, and Mike. People can vote on that. While give us that sweet final rundown, please.
All right.
Can I just say how nice this rundown looks without one red mark on it?
No red.
I mean,
no
that's
red.
A beautiful thing right there.
All right, and a 1, and a 2,
Gorgeous.
and a 1.
Hit my music. All right, the main event is official, ladies and gentlemen. 5 rounds, UFC welterweight division, friends turned rivals. Colby Covington versus Jorge Masvidal. Both fighters weighed in at 170.5. Co-main event, 5 rounds, catch weight of 160 pounds. Top field with Anjos and Moicano. both hit the mark at 160 on the nose. Edson Barboza, Bryce Mitchell, both weighed in at 145.5. Kevin Holland, Alex Oliveira, both weighed in at 170 for their welterweight main card matchup. Sergey Spivak, 243.5. We just saw Greg Hardy make the heavyweight limit, 266. Jalen Turner weighed in at 156 for his lightweight. Prelim headliner against Jamie Mullarkey, weighed at 155.5. Big fight at 115. Could be a number one contender fight, more so for Marina Rodriguez with the victory. She weighed at 116. Her opponent, Xionan, 116. Negumereanu, 205.5, takes on Kennedy Nzechukwu, who weighed in at 206. Marina Moroz, 125.5 for her grudge match against former teammate Mariya Agapova, who weighed at 126. Umar Nurmagomedov, 146 for his featherweight fight with Brian Kelleher, weighed at 145. Tim Elliott, 126 pounds, takes on Tagir Ulanbekov, who weighed in at 125.5. Ludovic Klein, 156, takes on Devontae Smith, who also weighed at 156. And Dustin Jacoby kicks off the card, weighed in at 205.5, takes on Mikhail Oleksiejczuk, who weighed in at 206. Don't blink in that one, ladies and gentlemen. Back to you, AK, for the poll results.
Yes, magnificent read as always, my best friend. Covington, of course, by decision, leading 47%. Masvidal by finish second at 25%. So again, those are really, the popular consensus. Either if it goes the distance, Covington all the way. Masvidal has to finish early, otherwise he's going to pick up that L. So, sorry guys, I shifted my seat a little bit, cut my own head off. Okay, join us later. We do have a preview show later tonight.
Hold on 1 second.
Oh,
hold on 1 second. So
yes.
For anyone that missed it, it's
Here we go.
Keep talking.
Here's Miami Christ. Jorge Masvidal stepping to the scale. He came in 170.5. And we will have, you're going to show the Covington one after this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, there's the new tattoo, the flying knee. And as Jose pointed out, with the infinity stones around it.
I no longer think it's the infinity stones. The colors don't line up.
And there's only 5, right?
Definitely the tree of, well, there's 5 infinity stones as well. So
I thought not 6.
But there's 4 on the knucks and then 1 on the top.
Okay. I thought there was 1.
And then it appears it's the tree of life behind the silhouette, and then I can't tell what the gemstones are. And I also can't tell if that's a real tattoo, because temporary tattoos are real popular these days. Like
hold on.
Jose Aldo had.
Hold on. There are 6 infinity stones, at least in the Marvel movies. There are 6 infinity stones.
Okay. You're right. Okay.
All right.
But Jose Aldo had that temporary one in the similar spot, so I don't even know if that's a real tattoo.
Okay. Fair point. Yeah. Either way, nice little logo he's put on his shoulder, so very cool branding. And here is, of course, Colby Covington, who weighed in quite a bit before Jorge Masvidal came in 170.5. So, guys, we will have the preview show, like I said, later today. Normally we try and do it earlier, but again, this is a pay-per-view. So not until 4 o'clock local time will be the ceremonial weigh-ins, 7 o'clock Eastern time. There's Jose. There is the man, guys. There's the man who brings you these high-quality streams and these high-quality reporting on site when we have these pay-per-views. So tune in, guys. Preview show later tonight, live, probably around 7:30, 7:45 Eastern time, 4:30, 4:45 Pacific time, and then we'll have a Q&A for you tomorrow. Then live
preview show won't be. It'll be a little later because
even later.
Yeah, because the ceremonial weigh-ins won't end about 4:30, and then we have to wait for Mr. Youngs to get back to his
I may
room.
be in bed.
Well, we will wake you up,
or I'll just stream from there.
Yeah, please.
Either way, thank you everyone who tuned in this morning. Stay tuned to our social media account. We will let you guys know ASAP as soon as when the preview show will be. But for the illustrious Jose Young, the illustrious Mike Heck, the incredibly illustrious EKC Leiden, I'm Alexander Kaley, and thanks for joining us, guys. We'll see you guys later.
Perfect.